stops, no one knows. We're going
Hello, 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 everybody. Happy Monday. Welcome back to Criminality. Or if this is your first time here, welcome to Criminality. I am so sorry, you guys. It's like typical Monday over here on our end. Nothing is freaking working correctly. So be prepared as you go through this live that shit just is going to go wrong, because that's kind of what I've just summed up my Monday morning to. So I apologize for being late, even for the late part of things. I don't know. It's just how it is. So I'm very excited today to be talking with the creator of the channel Truth and Transparency, Lena. Whenever she is able to hop on, I will bring her up. But I figured I'd come on and say hi to everybody as she gets set up on her end, because she's had a hell of a morning also. Well, now it's afternoon for her, but still, thank you guys for being here. We're going to be talking about the Idaho 4, the case of Idaho versus Brian Kohberger. And I don't know if you guys are going to need a recap. We might give you a little recap of the case as soon as she joins. But we're really going to be going over all the updates on the case as the motions to suppress from the defense team have all come back from the judge. And so we're going to be talking about those. We'll break them down. I'm not necessarily going to be reading all of the documents, but we're going to break them down and then talk to you guys a little bit about each one of them. So here's Lena from Truth and Transparency. What's up, girl? Hi. Can't hear you.
Hi. Sorry. Can you hear me, girl?
Can you hear me now?
Can you hear me now? Girl. Just get okay. So things were shaky in the back here. I had to reset all of my devices, so I do apologize. I was taking shots to the face.
I was telling chat that we've just had a morning of nothing fucking working right. So.
Oh God, it's been a morning of, like, speaking of which, it's been a morning of 20 questions. I'm ready if you're ready.
Oh shit. Okay. All right. Well, so let me just say hi to everybody in chat. Hi to all of my subs. Hi to all of Lena's subs. Thank you guys for being here with us. I think you're going to be in for a treat. So we kind of did something similar for the Delphi case over on Lena's channel quite a few months ago. So make sure that you guys go check it out. The mods will be sharing Lena's link in the chat. I do need, today of all days, I need my emotional support pickle. I absolutely do.
Okay, good. We finally named him.
What is his name?
Pedro. Yeah, Pedro the pickle.
Okay, makes sense.
We got Hector. We got Pedro. I am running a sweatshop back here.
Pedro the pickle. Poor little pickle.
You know, look at this mofo.
Chelsea said her friend bought her
a shout out to your mods.
Avocado.
Oh, even better. See? Yeah, totally.
What would you name an avocado?
Oh, probably. Oh,
Alejandro the avocado.
The first thing that comes to mind is Alejandro. I love Lady Gaga. I'm a Lady Gaga fan. Oh shit, my cubicle.
Oh my gosh. We're gonna see outside the cubicle.
Guys,
okay. So first and foremost, for you guys that don't know, Lena and I have actually known each other for 4 years now.
Yeah, I think so, right?
Yeah,
totally.
So we kind of we go way back into the Watts case, which we're not going to talk too much about.
No, and I think it only comes up once in my questions.
Oh shit. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's gonna, it's just gonna be more kind of a chill Idaho 4 experience for you guys.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
So she's got.
And hold on, I want to share this really quick
Okay.
with my on my page. So let me make sure that I'm doing this right. Only reason why is because we said we were on earlier. And
Right.
see, there you go. Okay, good.
Yeah.
We should have way more than this. So I'm gonna bump this up and say, I'm gonna give away. I'm giving away $100. What do you want? You guys like Amazon? Amazon gift card to one lucky viewer today. But you have to play. That's top 5. So here we go. So I just went ahead and put this in there. So I shared it on my page. Let everybody know that we are live. Make sure you guys hit the thumbs up. I smashed it. I smashed the thumbs down because guess what? It doesn't matter which one you hit as long as you.
But I'll tell you, I typically don't get thumbs down unless it's a Delphi video. Then I get a lot of them.
Oh wait, you do?
Oh yeah, on Delphi. Oh yeah, there's like a whole crew that literally is like, "Ooh, Teresa's live on Delphi. Let's go give her thumbs down." It's it is what it is. Your peeps want to know if you're going to be going live later today.
Oh yeah, I'm actually live all day today. So I do want to say this. Bella had a birthday, and I'm really big on
Happy birthday, Bella!
Yeah, she's awesome. And so I'm really big on birthdays. I'm big on surprises. Like my heart. I think you know that about me. My heart's pretty big. And so I want people that are friends of mine, people that I love, I want them to know they're important. So the past couple of days, it's been like dedicated to spending time with the family. Yeah. So, but yeah, I'll be live all day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, from like literally. Finally, I feel, I was sick. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, sun up, sundown. Let's do it.
You're not live tomorrow night.
Yeah, I am not live from 7 to 9 tomorrow night. It's taken.
Right. That's taken.
I'm on the floor.
We'll be live over here on Idaho 4.
Oh, you are doing it? Okay. That's tomorrow night. Okay.
We're gonna do the transcript read through. So for anybody who is from this channel knows that we do when we read the transcripts, everybody kind of has their own role, and we make it a whole thing. We've done it with all the Delphi transcripts. We're going to be doing it with the Idaho 4 transcript tomorrow. And
what time are you starting that?
4:30 Pacific, Eastern? So 7:30 Eastern. So if any of your peeps want to volunteer to come on and read a part, you get your own part. We kind of do like a whole thing. It's kind of just part of what we do.
Are you guys, if you're splitting it up into days, I do want to nominate Bella to do the DNA chick out of Idaho State. It's hilarious. She just kills it. She's got the accent.
If we end up doing 2 days, I'll have Bella do it.
Okay. Yeah. If you guys go 2 days worth, I mean, I just don't know if it's going to be like, we've got it down to a science. Bella has it down to a science, so like 175 pages. It's basically 3 2-hour sessions. Based on if you have professional readers like ourselves. It's 2 hours per 60 pages.
2 hours per 60 pages.
That should be the max that you should ever go for 60 pages. Now we can do an hour and 30 minutes for the 60 pages. And that means like no intro, no outro. We're just.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how we fare tomorrow night, but we may pull it off in one, or we may split it up. You never know with us. Sometimes we go crazy. Sometimes we go crazy over here and do like 8-hour Karen Reed lives. So you never know.
I love Karen Reed.
I know. That
trial, dude. I've decided I'm going to go to law school. I've decided.
Okay.
I've decided. But I'm first
going to come to Cali where you don't have to go to law school and you could just go straight to take the bar exam.
I'm gonna do it after I pass the bar though, because I want to just flex on some people. Because I think I could pass the bar without going to law school.
Well, that's what you can do in Cali. You can just take the bar.
Yeah, and you can do it in Washington, and you can do it in Virginia. So I'm going to just take the bar first, pass that motherfucker, so I could just say, boom, bitches, shut the fuck up. And then
you just want your intro to be like, I'm a lawyer.
Yeah, I want people to just shut the fuck up.
I'm a lawyer.
Oh, sorry, I shouldn't cuss. It's not my channel. Sorry. But
You're good.
but first, I want to have. I'm going to take the bar, and I'll be honest. If I fail it, I'll tell the world I failed it. And then I want to have my PI license because I'm going to go backwards, and then I'll go to law school. If and only if somebody wants me to actually go to law school. I just truly want to help. I think that you could attest for this. People like yourself, people like me, there's a niche and a need to plump up a defense. Like, you need manpower, you need brains, you need people. And so I think there's a niche there to create this agency to help public defenders. I've said it, that was my cause in the beginning, and it got derailed by fucking idiots. But I think that the Innocence Project exists for a reason. And if we can learn anything from the Innocence Project, is that there were innocent people. And if manpower can help innocent people, like, there's an agency for that. And I just saw a lot of money being tossed and thrown away for stupid shit, that it should go to an agency that can truly help public defenders. That's how I feel.
I agree.
I want to help public defenders. I think there is an investigative
for lawyers. Yeah.
The investigative part of it, like, lawyers got the law down, right? Well, it's like it's like IGG, in which we're going to get into all that. Investigative genetic genealogy is a new part of investigations, and you guys, that's like basically stalking. I spent some amazing time with Gabriel Vargas, who's one of the best in the world, and it's literally what I got to see her do, and her kind of like, she's like, you really want to go through a vigorous like 7 days? Like, I was out in Cali with her to do that. And it was just like, I felt like it was Facebook groups all over again. Like, people just digging on a motherfucker. Like, what can we find on this person?
That's Dave.
I know. That's why I was like, you'd be great at it, dude. You'd be.
I love it. Well, I love
great.
IGG. I think it's an amazing tool.
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you what I think about IGG when we get there.
Okay. All right.
I told to Vargas too. So,
should we do? You want to do your 20 questions?
Well, yes. So what I have here is it's 11 plus 9. So it's interesting. All right. So this is how it works. Is Teresa only has either one sentence or one like word answer, depending on, you'll see how the question's worded. But you just got to give me something. And it's got to be quick. First thing on the top of your mind. Bang. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Number 1, name the best spot to listen to a live stream and not get caught.
The garage.
Number 2, biggest red item you've ever seen in person. Pass.
Pass.
Number 3, name me 3 cities in the state of Idaho.
3 cities in the state of Idaho: Coeur d'Alene, Boise, Moscow.
Okay. Number 4, 3 cities in the state of Indiana.
3 cities in the state of Indiana: Rensselaer, Kendallville, Decatur.
Okay. Indiana?
I live there.
Okay.
So.
I thought you lived in Illinois.
I did. I lived in Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, Tennessee, California.
Perfect. Number 5, name another state that starts with the letter I other than Indiana and Idaho and now Illinois.
Iowa.
Good. Number 6.
I'm almost, baby. What? He's innocent.
All my eyes are on the prize. Number 6. Favorite Monopoly board game piece.
Oh, the dog.
Okay. Number 7, favorite 90s movie between these 2. Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead and Ladybugs.
Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead. The dishes are done, man.
Okay, now with that movie, name one of the star characters' character names.
Babysitter.
Her character name was the babysitter?
Did she have a name? I don't know.
Oh, hell. Number 9. Okay. We're going to
Mom
Okay.
is another one. Mom.
Number 9. Do you think that Mark Furman planted the glove?
Yes.
Number 10. What state does Mark Furman live in right now?
Colorado.
Try again.
Idaho.
Yes. Now, for the bonus 11th question that will get you the 9 extra ones.
Okay.
Name me the city. It starts with an S in Idaho that Furman lives in. Is it
Sure.
A? Is it A? Sandpoint? Is it A? Or I'm sorry, B. Sandwater, or D. Sand River? Sandpoint, Sandwater, Sand River.
Sandpoint.
All right, you get the extra 9 questions. Are you ready? Okay. Drum roll.
I feel like such a winner today. Let's
I know,
do it.
right? All right, ready? Okay. So going back through our first 11 questions, you said name the best spot to listen to a live stream and not get caught. And you said garage, right?
Yes.
Number 1 answer was bathroom. But garage, number 2.
Wait.
So just going back through these. The number 2 question here I asked was, what is the biggest red item you've ever seen in person? And you said pass, so I'm giving you a chance here. You can't say your period.
Was that big? The biggest red item. Biggest red item. Fuck.
How about stop sign?
No, I'm gonna go with
No.
like a fast food sign.
Ooh, McDonald's arch.
Well, that's yellow, but the other part of it's red.
Okay. So you're going with Raisin Cane. You can do anything. Like Wendy's.
Yeah. Wendy's.
Okay. I like that.
Yeah. Oh,
Give
fire
that to her.
truck. Fuck
Okay.
yeah. That's a good one. Thank you, guys.
First responders. Perfect. Next here, I said, name me 3 cities in Idaho. Check. You got that. Name me 3 cities in Indiana. Check. I said, name me a state in Indiana, or in the country that was another I, and you couldn't use Idaho, Indiana, or Illinois, and you said Iowa, right? Check. Now, is there a 5th?
What starts with an I?
Mm-hmm. What do you
I
think?
don't think so.
Perfect. No. But there are 5 Great Lakes. Name them. 20 seconds. Go.
Erie, Michigan. Fuck me. Why can't I think of them? This is too early on a Monday. Erie, Michigan. Why can't I think of other names?
H.
Huron.
O. E. I. H.
Superior.
O. S.
What's O?
H.
Hold on, let me get the chat. What's O?
What's
I can't
O?
think of O. What's O?
Let me see your O face.
I'm not showing you my O face. You're trying to turn me into spaghetti. I know what you're doing.
Shit. Oh, shit. Okay.
Ontario.
There you go. I think she got them all.
I'm not thinking the O to save my life.
All right. Well, I think we got them all. Superior, Michigan, Huron, Erie, Ontario. Did you get them all?
Yeah.
Okay. You said a favorite 90s movie between Ladybugs and Don't Tell Mama the Baby's Dead. You said Don't Tell Mama the Baby's Dead, correct?
Yep.
Okay. What is the name of the boss? Woman. Character name. 1 word.
Boss.
Rose. I'm right on top of that, Rose.
I'm right on top of that, Rose.
I'm right on top of that, Rose. Oh shit!
Oh my God.
Literally right on top of that, Rose.
I told you guys shit is gonna go crazy today. It's just already until it's one of those days. It's just one of those days already.
And I think you did pretty good there. What state is Mark Furman living in right now? It is Idaho, and it was Sandpoint. And do you think Mark Furman planted the glove? And you said yes, right?
Oh, absolutely.
See, okay, ready for this?
What?
I don't think he did.
Really?
Let me tell you what I think. Ready?
Uh-huh.
I think it was Jason. Okay. I believe that Jason is actually the one that killed Nicole. And I think that Jason called OJ over there. And I think that OJ came to the scene. But the way that Jason had to climb and do all that crazy ass shit, he was the one that was back there, gets OJ. They go, back over to the scene because he's like losing his shit. OJ then goes back to the scene. And that's why there's barely any blood in the Bronco. And otherwise, OJ would have been covered in blood.
I'm not. So far, I'm totally with you. Outside of the fact that I still believe that Mark Furman planted the glove.
The reason I don't think that he had to plant the glove is because I think that Jason actually jumped over, did all that crazy shit, and I think that it did fall out. But what I do think happened, because I kept asking myself why Mark Furman was over here saying, I plead the fifth, I plead the fifth, I plead the fifth, until I saw the recent Netflix. And the reason he pleaded the fifth is because Marsha Clark left his ass out to dry and he didn't know what the hell was going on. And his lawyer said, you need to plead the fifth because we don't know what the fuck's going on. You know what I mean?
What do you mean he left him out to dry? I haven't watched the Netflix on it.
Oh, you need to watch the new Netflix. Okay. Watch the new Netflix because there's one thing that I will give Mark Furman just a tad bit of credit here in is that, he lied about being and using the N-word, right? But just like how I am about somebody that's just because they're a cheater doesn't make them a murderer. Okay. Mm-hmm. So just because, you're a racist doesn't mean that you went to a scene, grabbed a glove, that you're going to plant the glove, do all that stuff. Now with that said, I think that he had when he pled the fifth, I don't think it was in terms of he just didn't know what was happening because he didn't have any conversations with Marsha Clark. And so I think that he was truly listening to what his lawyer said, because any lawyer in that situation is going to tell you that. Now, do I think that lost them the case? No, I think everything that was going on with the LAPD lost them the case because it was a racial thing. It was from everything that was happening, but that's just my take. So
interesting. So I think that his son has some involvement. But I still think that Mark Furman planted the glove, and I think that he's a shady ass fucking cop. That's what I think.
Oh yeah. I think that. Once you tell me that you're a racist, your judgment's out the window. You know what I mean? Like, you're a piece of shit in my mind. Like, there is no such thing as being.
I've never used the N-word. I think that that's just it's also a dumb answer too, because I think at some point in life everybody's used it either in some form or context. You know what I mean? Like, not in necessarily a racist way. You know what I mean? Like, you're either repeating something, you're reading something, you know what I mean? Like, I think that at some point everybody's said the word. So I would say probably, I don't know if I have, I can't remember all the times that I've had, especially as a cop in LA. I mean, just think about that. Like, how many documents you have to read and go through. Like, there's just it was a dumb lie to me. Like,
well, it was, dumb lies, right? Yeah. Yeah. Like, what are you doing, dude? But it was sloppy. I just feel like the investigation, the leadership was just so sloppy, but that's the LAPD slop.
He said, not me. I've never said it. All right. Can we get into Idaho?
Yeah. That was our intro. So hopefully.
Let's do it.
Good. All right.
Or do you have it? Okay. Did I win? I won my trivia. I won my 20 questions.
You know what? You won enough that I'll still be your friend. Okay, so if I can share a video here, I think people will like the intro that I created.
Okay.
You're both under the weather, so here's a couple things. First thing is let's go with.
Well, that was fun.
Aren't those the best? You love when I do those pop-up videos.
Oh, I did 20 questions for you when I came to your channel too. So.
Yeah, I had to repay you.
Yeah, you did.
Okay, good. You took it the right way. Okay, so where is it? Okay. Here you go.
Jeannie says, thank goodness I found you. I was so confused.
Oh. So she's here now?
Found you.
Oh, good. Yeah. You mean like learning about the Idaho case?
No, found you here. I think lost in general.
Oh, okay. So here.
Now maybe look at how different things can be interpreted.
Oh yeah. But, is it okay?
It's coming up, maybe.
Good afternoon. I'm Ted Williams, Fox News. You all have said that these killings are targeted. Can you share with us why you believe they are targeted killings? And do you know who, if any, of the victims were the actual targets of the killings? Why you believe they are targeted killings? And do you know who, if any, of the victims were the actual targets of the killings? Why you believe they are targeted killings? And do you know who, if any, of the victims were the actual targets of the killings?
All right. So right there, in the background to show everybody what this means is, hold on, let me turn this down, turn this up. That's Aaron Snell, who works for the Idaho State Police. He has a cousin or a brother named Timothy Snell. He works for the Idaho State Police. They do a lot with the drone and like crime scene reenactment / searching of the crime scene, forensics type stuff. So something that was, yeah, Timothy
Okay.
Snell. Timothy Snell. So there's Aaron Snell and there's Timothy Snell. So they brought up Aaron Snell from the Idaho State Police, who was basically, that was the one that was answering all the questions from like the media, which I thought was interesting at times. So just in case people don't know about that. And we also, we want to know what the joke was, or like, you know, you have a guy that's asking questions and I just happen to catch this in the background. I just thought that was so like, just like, what are y'all doing? You know what I mean? Like during this presser, this was during press conference number 1. And so my question to you, Teresa, is do you think this was when you say targeted attack, because that's what they were saying, it was isolated targeted attack. Do you think there was a target?
I do believe there was a target. I believe that Maddie was the target.
Okay.
This
Do you
is
still believe that now?
I do. I'm like, this is kind of what I've always believed. Yeah, I believe that Maddie was the target. I believe that Kaylee came to hear see what was going on from the ruckus that she heard. And then I think on the way down, you know, there was Xana and Ethan.
Okay.
So some have speculated that Xana might have been first now, that he ran into Xana, but still with Maddie being the target, still goes upstairs. But I think Maddie was the target.
Okay. Well, I saved a couple bombs. We've been looking into it recently. And I saved a couple things that I've never released, and I'm going to release them here today on your channel for the first time ever. But we'll finish this out.
Okay.
We stated earlier in the previous press release, or press conference, we believe they're targeted because we take a totality of all the circumstances that we're looking at. Do we know anyone?
Okay, so now after we hear the latest hearing, when he would have given this, which would have been on like an 11:20, when he wants to say like we take a totality, so from 11:13 to 11:20, but they were previously saying that it was a targeted isolated attack, but we take a totality of it. Now that we know the timeline more of kind of what was going on, what truly did they know by 11:20? You know what I mean?
Right. So
They
what
didn't know shit.
What totality of what were they
Yeah.
taking into consideration? Right.
Like he's just lying his ass off right here to the people. They didn't know
So
anything.
I guess the same question goes to you. You don't believe there was a target, or do you believe it was targeted? Just you think the house was the target?
Yeah, no, I think that they said all of this just to keep. I think that money rules the roost in Idaho, and this was to keep everybody at bay. To keep everybody calm, because they couldn't have people running from the university, running from Moscow, not living there.
Well, sure.
That's what makes the whole area. If you don't have people there, every business is not going to thrive. So
I disagree with their statement of it being isolated. I think if the killer had gotten away with it, the killer would kill again. I think that just for this immediate circumstance, it was still a target, but not isolated. And I think the isolated part is the lie to do exactly what you are saying, like keep everybody like it's okay. You know, this was like, like a domestic violence, like it was, you know what I mean? Like it was something like in-house and it's going to be okay. Nobody else should be in fear. I disagree with that. I think they should have been in fear.
And that's kind of what Kaylee's parents and family were saying. Like, why are you guys still hanging out there? Like, somebody just came into someone's house. Well, like, they're supposed to be safe and in their beds and at their own place. And someone just came up in there and just stabbed 4 people and killed them.
Right.
You know, like, why would you, like, so I disagree with you in one part. If you think that it's Brian Koberger, okay, I believe that you're looking at a serial killer type thing in the making. And only because of what we know today, there is no evidence that he was stalking these people. There is no evidence that he was, you know, following them on social media. And then therefore that it would have been, it could have been anybody's house. It could have been anybody that would have been somebody that he would have killed.
Okay, so hold on. Let me backtrack on that then, because by saying that he's not following them on social media means that Brian Koberger would be the killer and he's not following them on social media. If you believe that Brian Koberger is potentially not the killer, we don't know who the hell's following him.
Correct. So I'm saying that if you're on the boat that Brian Koberger is the killer and he's just a sick fuck, then everything that you're hearing right here is such bullshit. You get what I'm trying to say? Like,
I do. I get what
because what we know now is that Brian Koberger did not target these people. Brian Koberger was out to kill, okay? And he was just going, you know, how do we know that he didn't go up to another house and couldn't get in? How do we know that when he was driving around that night, supposedly in this white Elantra, that he didn't go up to other houses and try to get in and he couldn't because he couldn't get in because there wasn't a sliding door open or there wasn't a front door that was unlocked. A serial killer in the sense that I'm talking about is somebody that, you know, serial killers kill strangers is my point.
More like a Richard Ramirez, just looking for a house that he can get into.
Yeah, I just mean in the sense of like there is no connection here. We couldn't find it. That's why serial killers go undetected for so long because they're going based off of like, okay, let's go to the inner circle. Who are they upset with, or what boyfriend, or you know what I mean? Like you can't get anything off the inner circle. Then you have to go kind of like out and see like the victimology but nothing. If we look at everything like investigative standpoint, if me and you were investigating this case and they were like, okay, Lana, Teresa, this is your case, go at it. We would be eliminating everybody that was in their inner circle. And so if we're looking at things like other type of kills, that this was a possible MO of somebody else, is this a crime of opportunity? Is it truly passion? Remember when they were coming out and saying this was a crime of passion? This wasn't a crime of passion.
Well, they thought that because of the stabbing. So that was just their profiling, which was, I mean,
yeah. I mean, I just can't believe the mayor came out and said that. Like, what does the mayor know about? No offense, about dick.
The mayor shouldn't have been making any statement. I think we talked about that then. The mayor
like who's saying that shit? You know. So I go back and I just like think about this, and I'm just like, they didn't know anything because now we know what we know now. And on 11/20, they didn't know anything. So hearing this on 11/20 and then hearing it, well, first of all, on 11/16, and when he says, we don't even know that answer. We don't even know. He's actually being honest. Like they didn't even know who was there. They don't even know when the cops arrived, what people were there, who was the phone being passed along to. You know, they don't even know these answers. And I truly think that that's why they came out, or I should say did not come out and talk to the public, because they didn't know. What are you going to come out and tell the public? We don't even know what to tell the public.
Well, that's why he says, like, we weren't going to come out, but then, there was so much interest, we had to come and say something to you.
Yeah, or like the parents are going to start talking like they did, kind of. So
person that it was targeted, we're not able to say at this point in time due to our investigation, but we still believe that. But like I said, we take a totality of everything that we're looking at.
Okay. So right there. Now this is going to bring me to my first bomb for your show today.
Okay.
Ready?
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember the episode? When I say like an episode, do you remember when Mr. Gonsalves came out and talked about Kaylee talking about human trafficking?
I remember that he came out and said something about her being involved, like she watched true crime, and that I remember her like something about her reporting that she saw somebody that was either wanted or missing.
Yep. She had reported before that when she was at the Walmart with Jack D, which is very sus that she gave the address of the King Road when she wasn't even living there, right? That's just wild that she gave that address. But her dad came out, Steve, and said, yeah, Kaylee was telling me, hey, Dad, you know, like sex trafficking or human trafficking, it's a real thing. It's a real thing.
This sounds familiar. Yes.
Yeah. So it was Steve just reiterating what Kaylee had said to him. Well, if you go back and you check now, unless you were totally following this case from the beginning and like being like a crazy person and just taking all of this stuff in and saving it and making sure that you preserved it, because if they were to ever scrub the internet and take it, let's say somebody calls me up and they're like, hey, they were never supposed to say that. Can you please take that down? That's part of our police investigation.
Yes.
Okay. And then you, like, if somebody was to call me and say, hey, I understand that you did this. I'm asking you, it's a police investigation and something that was said, we really need that to come down.
And for anybody who doesn't think that actually happens, we had journalists come forward in the Delphi case who said at the beginning of the case they had reported X, Y, and Z, and they were contacted by the sheriff and ISP, Indiana State Police, and to tell them to please remove it because it was information they didn't want public.
Yes.
And so now we know by the journalists that their original columns were taken down by law enforcement.
Correct. So they usually come to you first. I've been approached before, and actually I've been approached before by lawyers. Lawyers have come to me in the past and said, hey, some of the stuff that you have out, we're not mad about it. We think it's quite interesting how you got it, and not that you got it illegally or anything weird, but we are doing something and we don't want people to find out about it yet.
Yep.
Type of thing. Okay. And can you please take it down? And I said, well, here, listen to my argument with that is that my channel name is Truth and Transparency. If I'm removing something, it's going to come across that either A, I was lying about it. Okay. Or if I like make some type of retraction, it's one thing, but for me just to completely remove something when I am so highly sought after, like people are downloading a video when I make it and like putting it on like, I don't even know what, but I make a video and it's being screen recorded. Okay. It's crazy. It's happened to me before. But so here in Kaylee's situation and in Steve's situation, he came out and he said this. We have the video. He said this. You cannot find that video anywhere of his interview of him talking about the fact that Kaylee told him that that human trafficking is a real thing, Dad. Okay. And this is right early in the beginning. Poof, it's gone.
Okay. So do we have that clip saved?
We have that clip saved. Now, over the past 6 to 8 hours before, when did we say we were doing this? Because that's when I started, we started researching something.
I don't know, yesterday at some point.
Yes. All through the night then, we spent time after going through the transcripts. I was big hone in on Vicki Gooch. Vicki Gooch, because I was interested into why. Vicki Gooch. Like it's Vicki, and it's Gooch. Okay. She's an Idaho State Police officer, but she's part of the IGG/cold case part of it. She was in her final stint here and she was retiring literally right as the Idaho 4 case happened in November of 2022. Everybody knows that she's retiring. Okay. She's out of Boise though. She's out of Ada County. So she's in Boise. Okay. And this is a big deal because Moscow to Boise, all right, Idaho State Police usually have districts, and it's District 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and it's in different areas. And District 1, hold on one second, I don't know why I just froze. District 1 is in Coeur d'Alene, But this district, can you hear me?
Yeah, I
Sorry.
can hear you. Yeah, you're good.
Okay. This district that Gooch is out of A County, which is in Boise. Now, Gooch, from what we were able to just recently find out about, is she interviewed Dylan on 11/17. Okay. So the murder occurred on November 13th. Dylan was interviewed 2 times on November 13th. Okay.
Okay.
So this is really important. So Dylan was interviewed November 13th 2 times. Once by the first responding officer, Mitch Noonans, Nunes, and then again later on by Detective Mowry. Okay. And it's going to be a big name. Now, hold on, I might have to like drop off, come back in. I don't like being stuck. You see me?
Yeah, I mean, you just have your camera off.
Okay.
I can hear you fine.
Okay, good. So sorry about that. So then on November 17th, because think about it, if I'm Dylan, I live in Boise area, right? So my parents are going to be like, get your ass home, right? So
Right.
I go home and I go to Boise. Well, for whatever reason, there was an interview done between Detective Gooch on November 17th and Dylan Mortensen. Okay. Now, I just want you to understand, though, Detective Gooch is on her way out. She's retiring. Okay. So why would a detective who is on her way out, literally, she's retiring as in like she's done November of 2022. Like she's finishing out. She has November and December and she's done. She's retiring. But there was a plan in place because in in 2021, the Idaho State Police worked out a deal with Othram Laboratories. And they said that, hey, Idaho State Police is going to have their own lab that's going to get all this grant money. When you get federal money, we're going to start doing cold cases. We're going to start doing IGG. And Vicki Gooch was part of this team. She knew it before she was retiring. And I'm going to show you a clip. Okay. So bear with me so I can prove this all because I'm a receipt person, right?
Hell yeah.
I'm all about the receipts. CVS me, baby. So a couple weeks ago, I showed everybody that, hey, Vicki Gooch, who she was, and I wanted everybody to hear out of the mouth of Vicki Gooch because somebody was able to get to her and interview her. Here we go. Let me bring it up. My Vicki Gooch. Gucci on that Gucci. Hold on. Where's she at?
So for the purposes of chat, just so you guys know, I don't know if you've ever publicly stated whether you think they have the right guy or don't have the right guy.
I have no idea if they have the right guy or not. I'm all about our constitutional rights.
Right.
But more importantly, I'm all about holding people accountable. And so our Constitution is like, you are constitutionally innocent until proven guilty.
Correct.
And I am not about the propaganda. So I'm in the boat of, I have no idea if Brian Kohlberger did or not.
Which I think is completely fair. That's where, I mean, I typically live there. I feel like they have arrested the right guy. So just for clarification purposes for the chat, I do feel like they've arrested the right guy. I'm more interested in the Idaho case for that very purpose of, are they actually violating people's constitutional rights? Are they arresting the right people? The whole process of everything. And it's kind of the same approach that I, take with all cases, really. I absolutely believe in that people are innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. And sometimes I'm not even sure that the jury gets it right. And my case in point would be Casey Anthony. I think she's absolutely guilty. And yet, here she is, a free woman. So do I think they always get it right? No. But I do care more about the process.
Yes, 100 process.
That I care necessarily about whether he is or isn't the guy, because I think if they follow the process and they do things correctly, we end up with the right guy or a better percentage of having the right guy, a better chance of having the right guy. So just an FYI, I just want people to kind of know where I stand with things and why I look at cases. you know, and then, you know, you can tell people, you know, like same. I think that's kind of where our commonality comes in. Do we always agree on the outcome of the case? Not necessarily.
No.
We agree on that the processes have to be, you know, they have to be right and they have to be just. Otherwise, it doesn't matter whether they get the right guy. So that's kind of the whole purpose of following some of these cases, is especially when in the high profile cases. And I know people like want to follow high profile cases because, ooh, they're high profile, but high profile cases lead investigators to cutting corners because they know they're high profile and all eyes are on them.
Yeah, or they don't realize that they're going to become high profile, and then when they do, and you got all the diggers, like social media wasn't around like it was around right now. You know, like they can call us armchair quarterback, sleuths, whatever you want to call us. No, I'm just a researcher, and and for me, it's like this. I want to make sure I have the right person. If I'm prosecuting somebody, okay, if I was a prosecutor, do you think that I want to put a guy that didn't do a crime behind bars?
Right.
Or a girl, okay? But see, the world that we live in right now isn't about if somebody did it or not anymore. This is all about politics, and it's really pissing me off that people's lives are not a game. And even with the victims' lives and the victims' families. Like,
well,
I'm sorry.
People are like, well, you got to care more about the victims. And it's like, if they don't get the right guy, or they get the right guy, but do it the wrong way, the number one impact is on those victims' families.
Well, that's case precedent. Like, that's what the whole case precedent is when you're going back and using a case to determine another case, it's all on case precedent. Like, you know what I'm trying to say? Like, people like when a law, or like, I should say a law, when a ruling comes down on a case, they're then using that case to then be there. Oh, hey, but look at what they did in this case. And then they're, you know, they're citing it. And then this is how things happen. And so for me, it's like, look at even the Delphi case. How bad do you miss that tip? Because then why, if you're going to talk about the victims, you put these families through all this shit for 5-7 years. If y'all would have, what are you doing? How do you miss that tip? How are you clearing that tip? Like, this could have been over, you know, within literally a year. So when you want to talk about caring about the victims and their families, start looking at how things are handled internally. And I'm sorry, when people are becoming police officers back in the day, it was, oh, hey, I can't get into college, so I'm going to go be a cop. Like, that's what my friends were telling me back when I was in high school. And I'm like, wait, what? I have this idiot that's going to go be a cop? I was pissed. I was like, I don't need idiots as cops. I want detectives and cops who actually are going to use their brains and not like, oh, this is my default.
Right.
Like, what?
Well, their education is supposed to be throughout, you know,
or their passion.
Right.
Like I can be dumb as balls with books, but my passion is to help people. My passion is to like protect people, because I'm like, you know, like, but the passion is like, I don't want nobody default. And you want to become okay, well, I'll just go and get my, you know, I'll go be a cop because I just have to do like, you know, 6 months and what? I don't want that. I don't want that. I don't want patrol people like that. I don't want people that are moving up from being a patrol cop. So then all of a sudden you're just a detective because you were a patrol cop.
Well, a lot of places that, you know, they have it in where you have to take you have to take a detective's exam, you have to take a sergeant's exam, you have to take exams to be able to get there, you know, to understand the differences in what your role was to what your role is going to be. In general, I don't think that they're all just. I don't just go, oh, you're a cop equals you're just a good person. I don't think that that's the case. So, you know, a little backstory for anybody who doesn't know me. My dad was a police officer for many, many years, college educated police officer who ended up, you know, he also taught police courses. So, I take a lot of his experiences and his life where, you know, things that he taught me. And there was a time that he had to testify against another cop. And that cop was not a good cop, but my dad testifying against him makes my dad not one of the, you know, brothers in blue. And that was a very hard time for my dad because he didn't want to go against anybody that he was working with, but he had, you know, the guy's a bad guy. So what do? You know, where does that fall? So he ended up having to leave that precinct and go to another another city, but it's just, that's kind of where some of my experience comes in too. And I just want people in chat to know, like, I never care about people's opinions on a case ever. Like, you can think whatever the heck you want to think about a case. You are absolutely always welcome here. I literally have one rule, and it's just don't be an asshole to me or anybody else in chat. Like, that's kind of, or guests on the panel. That's like my only rule. I firmly believe that you can have whatever opinion you want to on a case. We cover tons of cases. We may agree on this one, but we may disagree on the next one. And then we may agree on the one after that. So fighting over a case to me is kind of just, it's a silly thing to do. And Lana can attest to the fact that back in the day of Watts, I'd go around and fight with everybody about what was right and what was wrong. And so I pissed people off, and people pissed me off. And, and then the next case comes around and I agree with those people on it. And I'm like, well, shit, now I can't go talk to them because we've called each other all kinds of names and we don't like each other. And so whether I want to listen to what they have to say on this other case, it doesn't matter. So I just want you guys to know, like, literally, you can have whatever opinion you want on a case. You can share it as long as you share it respectfully. And it doesn't become like a troll thing where anybody goes into the chat and they're just like, he's guilty, he's guilty, he's guilty, he's guilty, he's guilty. Or he's innocent, he's innocent, he's innocent, he's innocent. Like, just
and you know what? I don't even listen to people when they say that he's innocent, because I'm like, where are you getting even that from? We don't know if he's innocent. We don't know if he's guilty. I think that people should be talking about what has been presented to this day. Why aren't we talking about what's been presented? That's what I want to talk about. I want to talk about I don't care if he's innocent or guilty. I don't care what you think about that. I care about, what do you think about what has happened to this point, and what do you know? What do you think you know about this case?
Right.
You know what I mean? And so remember when Teresa and I was like, hey, yo, can we just, remember back in the day, I was like, yo.
She does that all the time. She calls me. She's like, hey, yo.
Hey, yo.
Hey, yo.
Hey, yo. I'm like, dude, I don't even know you. I don't even remember that. I was like, I don't even know you guys. Like, I was like, I don't even know what you guys think I think about this case, but I can promise you it's probably not what you think. But so getting back to this, and this is just like, I want to give Teresa this bomb because Teresa will be like, she'll look into it, And hell yeah. So back when we found out that Vicki Gooch was involved, and so here's this little clip I'm gonna play. Okay, I just put this out so you guys could hear Vicki Gooch. Okay, here, hold on. Police story. Vicki.
I'm like, why the hell am I doing this? That is just not in my DNA. Okay. It is not. Most people they don't look forward to that. My husband can't retire. He still has 9 years of work. There's no point in going home trying to sort out what I should make him for lunch for the next day and dinner that night. It's not in my DNA, so I came back. I already knew I was coming back. It wasn't like I was there and decided to come back. I did.
Right there, she already said that I already knew I was coming back. So, I found this interview that she did.
Okay, so she retires what year?
2022. She knew that she was retiring in November and December of 2022. Okay. So how she says it here is like, but I knew I was coming back, but the capacity that she's coming back is what's interesting, and what should be interesting to people is she was coming back not in the role where she was coming back with doing the cold case / IGG, because here, so she says it right here. Detective Gooch got into law enforcement in the 80s. Let me just put it. So, Detective Gooch got into law enforcement in the 80s.
It's like the remix.
She was with the Idaho State Police when it formed, 98, but she did some work over in Wyoming, and was it Jackson Hole?
Jackson Hole, Gabby Petito.
She did stuff in Nevada.
Yep.
Idaho. She comes from a military background with her father. But she's been with the Idaho State Police, and she's always wanted to work with this, why does somebody commit a crime? Basically the psyche. Okay. Which is really, really interesting, because considering the Idaho 4 case, like Brian, understanding his brain in this case, but So we all know that the grant money, 2021 was that grant money, and it was all arranged
So this
that
is
the
what she's
Idaho State
talking about.
Police lab in Boise was going to have, this big IGG portion to be able to do cold cases. And if you got approval from certain areas, that we could even do stuff that were current cases, but that we are going to do this, everything they did in this case, they said that they didn't do, but she was already contracted. So it was like she's leaving, but she's not. So it's like double dipping in a way. She's going to go collect her retirement money, right? So then I went further into Vicki.
If she retires, it collects her retirement money, and then she goes back as like a part-time cold case IGG detective. She still can collect her retirement money at the same time.
Yes,
versus
because
if she just transferred over to this cold case detective and just went part-time, she obviously would not be collecting her pay, her retirement, and then her pay would be cut because she's now a part-time cold case detective based off of grant money.
Well, they had contracts. So that's what I
Right.
like. There was contracts. So this is where it gets interesting. So right before she retires and right before the murders, 2 weeks before the murders. So I sent you that that screenshot earlier because I was like, hey, are you cool with me introducing a bomb today?
Yep.
And I said, I'm going to send you it so you could see it. So there was no surprises. And so what I'm going to do here is is it cool if I just read it? Or do you want me to like
you can show it, you can read it, you can do whatever you want.
Okay.
Miss Lacey says, tell everyone about the work you do, Lena. I wish you could go into the courtroom and raise hell on the truth in the name of our rights and justice. Corruption is real. Thank you, Lena, from Idaho.
Oh, thank you so much. She's a sweetheart. Like, she truly is. There, honestly, people say that, this case has a lot of smart people looking at it. So I'm going to use Hector just for the purpose of me showing something really quick.
We love Hector.
And so here's Hector. It's straight. Hector's right out the room here. There you go. Here you go. There you go. So see this right here? So right here's a very, very important date. Idaho Criminal Justice Commission Human Trafficking Subcommittee. Okay, and I want you guys to take a look at this date. And they had a meeting. Okay. And so can you see that?
Yep.
Okay. So in this meeting, it says members present, and it lists people, members absent, and then it says other present. And do you see that?
Vicki Gooch from the Idaho State Police is present.
Okay. Is present at this Idaho Criminal Justice Commission Human Trafficking Subcommittee. Remember what I said to you before about Kaylee Gonsalves and what she told her dad. Okay. Now, this was out there on the interwebs until poof, it went missing. All right. And here, literally, as you can see, 2 weeks before the murders, Vicki Gooch is briefing everybody. Vicki Gooch, ISP, was asked to present to the group the September Ada County Human Trafficking sting operation by the Treasure Valley Human Trafficking Task Force, TVHTTV, which
that is a terrible acronym.
Right? Which rescued 6 trafficked women.
Okay.
Now, the 6 women received victim, and then I cut it off. There's more pages, but just so everybody can see the date here. All right. Now, 2 weeks later, there'd be, first of all, the murders, and then you have 11, 13. Dylan's interviewed 2 times. Then you have the 14th. Then you have the 15th, 16th. Then the PD does their first presser. Okay. Yep. Then you have the 17th. Vicki Gooch is interviewing Dylan, who was interviewed 2 times on this day, once by Noonans, who was the first responder, and then the second time was Mallory. Okay. Then here, Vicki Gooch interviews Dylan. Now I said to myself, why
is Vicki Gooch going to interview Dylan?
Well, two things. Yeah. First of all, why is Vicki Gooch? She's leaving. Okay. She's leaving. She's retiring. She's going into a sector that is cold case / IGG, but it's contracted stuff with the Idaho State lab, and it's going to be like this specific team. Okay.
Yep.
So I was like, now remind you guys that Dylan does live in Boise, though. Okay. So I get it that, like, okay, hey, we're going to send somebody that is from the area because that's where Dylan's at. Unless this was a phone conversation, okay, then it wouldn't make sense to me. Because if you're going to have a phone conversation with Dylan on the 17th, what does it matter if you're in Moscow or in, wherever? But here, Vicki Gooch has entered in into the mix here on 11/17. And here, literally 2 weeks earlier, Vicki Gooch was just, they rescued 6 trafficked women. All right, this is exactly what Kaylee Gonsalves was talking about. Who was Kaylee's +1? Dylan. You understand?
Yep.
Okay. So Kaylee's, I'm just grabbing a water. Kaylee's +1, Dylan's +1 is Kaylee.
Yes.
The only reason that she could go to that event, all right, the only reason that she could go to that event on Friday night was if she was a guest of somebody, all right, because she could not go to that event on Friday night. The event that then Christy and all of them talk about on Saturday to say, oh, how was everything, girls? Remember? When she had to, like,
Remember.
okay. So I sorry if I'm walking it too slow, but I'm just trying to, like, make sure.
No. I'm trying. I guess my big question is this the first? Do we know that this is the first part of the investigation that Gooch is involved in? Does she show up anywhere before talking to Dylan?
Well, how we know that is, let me grab my, hold on. So they had to upload all the exhibits that they used in the Franks. I don't know if you know that, but they had to upload all the, what was it? The exhibits that were used. And in the exhibits, it broke down. And so Vicki Gooch testified at the grand jury as well. Sorry, I thought I had it here. So
You're good.
But yeah, Vicki Gooch, the first time I know of her name in any of the filings is 11/17 interviewing Dylan Mortensen. Okay. And so something that I just thought was interesting that we should consider here is that did Vicki Gooch, I would just love to know the questions that are being asked, because in this interview, if you then go to all the transcripts then of the recently closed hearing,
right?
And then if you go to what Hippler then wrote in all of the orders that came down. Where's the one that's the Franks? Hold on, I'm going to show you. Here it is. Okay. Dylan. Okay. Here we go. Defendant asserts that the probable cause statements omitted important information bearing on DM's reliability. The defendant notes that DM qualified her interview statements, blah, blah, and it says right here. And then it's from a few days later, while encountering the events, Detective Gooch, DM stated, again, so this is on 11/17. Again, I believe I was also very drunk. Okay. I don't know how much of this is real, Like, I don't know if my mind was like doing whatever. I don't know any of it. Like, half this stuff, I don't even know if it's a dream or if it's real. I just have no clue. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And she also says her memory is fuzzy, cloudy. So we're going into the whole Dylan thing. But backing it up one step further is I wanted to break down when they started to bring in the whole bushy eyebrows. Okay. Because that to me is the most important thing that you're going to put in Dylan's hands is the bushy eyebrows / the timeline. Everything. The only reason that Dylan is involved in this probable cause is the timeline, because they're timing it up to say that, yes, at 4:00 in the morning, that's when Dylan woke up. That's when she, encountered this guy, yada, yada, yada. And it goes with the same time of the white Elantra, because if Dylan was to say this happened at 3:00, then you can just throw out the white Elantra. Okay.
Well, I also think it's interesting because, in the last hearings, the state never actually brings up bushy eyebrows again. Like it's that's not part of what they're talking when they're arguing the DM stuff. Mm-hmm. They don't even bring up the bushy eyebrows. They don't mention
because it wasn't consistent. It wasn't like she came out and said that, like, so they were going through like at different points what they were, asking of her. And anybody that thinks that it was just a COVID mask, if you read these documents, you will find out that it is not a COVID mask. It is 100% a ski mask because it covers the forehead and the mouth. And the only thing that you can see, go look at a type of ski mask, like, what you're able to see. And she's like, I don't even know how I knew that the guy was white. And I'm like, well, because it's Idaho. I don't think that you would think that they were black because there's hardly any black people there. Like, I'm just speaking, matter of fact. But right here, for people to understand the facts of this, these are the things that she said. Okay. And then based on this, just between you and me,
and the 300 people in chat
I would know the voices of my roommates. Okay. And this is important because basically Dylan is putting Kaylee Gonsalves alive past the time that state has her alive.
All right. Tell us what it says.
Okay. So the defendant's own proffer establishes that DM's accounts were remarkably consistent through her multiple interviews with law enforcement. And further, the probable cause affidavits are very consistent with her accounts. And here's me saying, wait, what? That's not what they're saying at all. Okay, they're not saying that at all. But this is how Judge Hippler wants to look at it.
Hold on. Second. The defendant's proffer?
Yeah, this is how Judge Hippler wanted to rule on this. And I'm reading this stuff and I'm just like, wait a second, these aren't Ann Taylor's arguments at all. What the heck's going on here? Ann Taylor's not saying that Dylan's statements were consistent throughout. That's not what she's saying at all. In fact, what they were saying is that, first of all, you're cherry picking stuff, but the most important thing is you're changing words. Like Dylan said, she didn't say she thought what she heard was Kaylee. Okay. She said she heard Kaylee run down, like come downstairs, go back upstairs. Because she said that there's somebody here. Okay. And then that's where Payne says, oh, well, that also could have been Xana because Xana's TikTok was on. Well, we know how TikTok works. And if you're just on an app and it's just playing over and over and over and over, it doesn't mean that you're on it. Okay. If I'm already, like, I'm going to be gross when I say this. If I'm dead and I was on TikTok, if I died at 3:00, it could literally sit there and continue to play over and over and over the same damn video. Oh, well, Lena was up watching TikTok.
Well, it should eventually shut down. Your phone should turn itself off.
Well, correct. But like, I shouldn't be putting in a probable cause. Well, it could have also been this. Like, no, whatever I say, you would just be putting in there. Like, she didn't say anything about that it was Xana. You get what I'm trying to, like, so
right. Well, tell us what she says first, so then we can go over it.
Oh, what Dylan says?
Yeah, the difference in the statements.
Okay, so DM made statements during her interview that indicated the occupants of the King Road residence were home by 2 and reportedly asleep by approximately 4 a.m. This is with the exception of Xana, they write. This is straight from the probable cause.
Right.
Okay. But this right here, this is with the exception of Kernoodle, who received a DoorDash order at the residence at approximately 4 a.m. Okay. Dylan didn't say that. Okay. That they're taking that from just that's a fact. Like, hey, she got a DoorDash. Okay.
Right.
All right. Now, DM stated she was awoken at approximately 4 a.m. by what she stated sounded like Gonsalves playing with her dog in one of the upstairs bedrooms, which were located on the 3rd floor. A short time later, DM said she heard who she thought was Gonsalves say something to the effect of, "There's someone here." A review of forensic records associated with a download of Kernoodle's cellular phone indicated she was likely awake and using the TikTok app at approximately 4:12 a.m. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
DM stated that she looked out her. Now, I said this on my show. DM stated she looked out of her bedroom, but did not see anything when she heard the comment about someone being in the house. I made this comment. I said, you guys, normally when someone says that they're here, I'm looking out my window. I don't get up out of my bed and look out and walk over to my bedroom. Like I'm thinking that someone's talking about someone being here outside, right? If someone says to me, "Oh my God, someone's here," I'm thinking that they're talking about someone being outside of my house. So here's the first time that you actually get a really good glimpse of the fact that where DM's bed was in her room and where her window was is she looking actually out her window to see if somebody's here, like in the back, because people are out by that back porch.
Okay.
Do
I do. I could see it go either way. So if say Kaylee's telling Xana, "Hey, someone's here," or so and so's here, I could see that they could be outside, or I could see that they would be inside. But like if I'm talking to you and I'm like, "Hey, someone's here."
Okay, if I say someone's here and they're in my house, don't you think I would say, Teresa, "Hey, Bella's here," because I see the person and I know who they are?
You don't know who the person is.
Okay, so think about that then. If it's the DoorDash, okay, so if I'm like Kaylee and I'm upstairs in my room, right? Because how would this play out? If I'm going to say someone's here and they're actually in the house, that would mean that they have one of 3 options: my room, Maddie's room, the bathroom, right? And me. I mean, where am I saying if it's Kaylee saying there's someone, "Hey, there's someone here"?
No, I see your point. I could see that you'd most likely want to say it was somebody's here. They're outside.
Well, yeah, I'm just saying in terms of like, well, no, let's even say that they could be technically inside. That would have to put them though in my room, in Maddie's room, in the upstairs bathroom, or outside, because I was looking out my window and I saw somebody like pull up, like, and they shine their lights. Then you get what I'm like?
Yes.
Like those are the only options, right? Like if I'm Kaylee and I'm upstairs in my bedroom and I say, "Hey, there's somebody here," what could I possibly be referring to? I can't be referring to somebody that's in like the kitchen or in the living room. I can't see that shit. I would either have to be in a bedroom upstairs where that person is, in my bathroom where that person would be, if I'm upstairs, or in Maddie's room where that person would be, or I'm looking outside and I'm seeing something that's alerting me to say that, right? I mean, how else could it flow? I'm just trying to flow this out, like.
No, I see what you're saying.
Okay, so like, I'm just trying to like get us in like the mindset. Okay, it's 4:00 in the morning, and let's say I'm upstairs in my room, and I say, "Hey guys, there's somebody here," right? I'm going to tell you what immediately I'm thinking, that person's looking out their window and they're able to see that there's somebody's light just shined in, right? To pull up
but she wouldn't be able to see that from her room.
Exactly. That's what we're going to get at. Exactly. Okay. So unless, now think about this though, Kaylee wasn't in her bedroom, right?
Okay.
Okay. So if Kaylee's not in her bedroom, right? So back to what now we're going to try to get into this whole thing about that everybody was in their rooms at 4:00 in the morning. I'm right here calling bullshit. If you're saying that Kaylee is saying that there's somebody here, Kaylee is not in her room at 4:00 if you think this is all happening. Because Kaylee saying that there's somebody here and being upstairs makes absolutely no fucking sense, in my personal opinion. All right? That's just the point I'm trying to make, is that let's now just take a look right here. This is what Ann Taylor's basically saying, is that none of this makes any sense. You guys are totally making a narrative here. And so then, but they added in by saying, no, Dylan's just mistaken. It's really not Kaylee's voice that she hears also playing with the dog, right? Now think about this. And it's got to be Xana. And this is why they're putting this in here. Okay? And it's going to come up here. And it's because this totally fucking blows the state's theory out of the water. Right? Is that... So let me just back up to this page right here so I can. All right. So in issues 3 and 10, defendant challenges the probable cause statements insofar as they set forth witness DM's interview descriptions of things that she heard and saw on the night of November 13th. Defendant claims that law enforcement failed to inform the magistrate that DM's accounts describing the suspect were variable and that she questioned her memory and that she did not recognize defendant when provided with a photo of him after his arrest. Now, this is his order. If you actually hear Ann Taylor's argument, okay, and you actually read, which they refuse to put out right now, her actual brief that I guarantee you is not, this is not how she would have presented this, is that no, we're calling bullshit on the whole timeline of this. Okay? Because, which we're going to get at here, do you know that what they left out was the fact of the dog barking? Okay, so I want you to hear how Hippler says this. I know I'm jumping for a second. I just want you to hear this, though.
Okay.
So I am jumping for a second, but now, if you are so traumatized, you don't have somebody walk right past you, they're the killer, they're carrying what seems like a vacuum, but they don't, they literally walk right past you to the point that they see you, you see them because you're just like in their face, but they just happen to leave. Dylan says that she thought that that person was one of Ethan's friends. Okay, that's one of the statements. But then so much so that, okay, I'm just going to go in my room now and I just lock my bedroom door and I go and lay in my bed and then I start texting. Nobody's in a frozen shock state and in trauma. Okay. If what Dylan is saying, you have to experience trauma to then, you'd have to see something. Me seeing somebody walk past that I think is your friend, Teresa, I'm not going to be in a trauma. I'm not traumatized. Okay. So this is what blows my mind, is that here Judge Hippler isn't understanding it. The defendant has shown no objective indication that DM's interview statements were unreliable. DM is saying herself that they're unreliable.
Right. That's
Okay.
a very poor word choice right there on the unreliable.
Yeah. Particularly given the other corroborating evidence. And therefore, no reason for law enforcement to include her qualifications in the affidavit, because this is where Ann Taylor's like, listen, they cherry-picked and made it seem like that Dylan was all together with it, but really she kept on referring to the fact that she didn't know shit. Okay?
Yeah, she didn't know shit about shit.
Yeah.
You gotta remember, one way or the other. She's just like, I don't know what the hell I saw. I saw something. I saw somebody.
So, ready? None of DM's qualifications during her interviews reasonably placed her presumed reliability in dispute. Are you kidding me? Like, this is a judge. This is this is the judge that's saying he's listening and hearing these people, and it's like, this girl is saying it herself. So she was a direct witness and was able to consistently articulate the details she remembered throughout each interview, especially as to the fact relied on in the search warrant affidavits. Despite the fact that she claimed her memory was fuzzy, or that she felt like it was a dream, or that she was still intoxicated, further, even if her reliability were in question, there was other evidence, including in the Exhibit A, which is the PCA, as to corroborate her account. And I'm like, wait, what is? And he goes, for example, the security camera from 1112 King picked up audio of a struggle at 4:17 a.m. That wasn't said that there was a struggle. There was a thud or some like weird noise.
Yeah.
Okay. This is a judge just putting this in there, which coincides with when DM stated that she thought she heard crying coming from Mogan's room. Or not Mogan's, but Xana's room. Yeah. And a male voice speaking. It was shortly after this, she opened the door for a third time and saw the suspect just walk by her toward the sliding glass door. And this is actually not said correctly. She said that he walked toward her and was 3 feet from her. Okay. Which he's saying, well, that just corroborates with the surveillance video showing the suspect vehicle at this time, during this time. So see how everything is all about this timeline?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So here, in addition, law enforcement corroborated DM's description of defendant through its vehicle identification efforts, which led investigators to defendant's driver's license, blah, blah. But here, none of that's actually accurate. In fact, he then goes on to say that further, the Exhibit A inferred that DM was traumatized when they noted that she stood in a frozen shock phase when she saw the intruder. But she didn't. She says that that's not what happened.
No, she's not traumatized until the next day after she knows everybody's dead. So I agree. So you have to take away what she finds out later and go back into.
Well, because she wasn't, there's nothing. Well, think about it, Teresa. What is there to be traumatized? You didn't see anything.
Well, that's what I'm saying, until the next day when you know everybody's dead.
Mm-hmm.
You're not
But
traumatized. You just think this random dude is leaving your house and he's one of your, one of Ethan's friends or somebody that was in the house. I get what you're saying.
And then here, this own judge is saying, he's saying though, she was traumatized when they noted, like the police, when they noted that she stood in a frozen shock phase when she saw the intruder.
So I wonder if the wording on this is just written really poorly. Like she's traumatized after the fact when they noted that she stood in a frozen shock phase. Do you see what I'm saying? Like when the detectives are talking to her,
no,
she's
they're talking
traumatized.
But that's not. They're talking about the night of. Like this all goes to why nobody called 911.
Right.
Okay, because this is you're trying to figure out something. Okay, if these people got home, let's say at 2 a.m. and 911 was called at noon, so clearly the crimes had to happen between 2 a.m. right and noon.
Correct.
Okay, and so how do we figure out when the crimes happened? And if you take DM completely out of the situation, that white car means absolutely dick. You understand? Because there's nothing, just supposedly seeing a white car or any type of car driving around there, what does that have anything to do with anything? Now, you throw, without DM statements, like this whole timeline goes like, and this is where it's like, holy shit, now I'm about to drop a bomb for you. Ready?
Mm-hmm.
Now, defendant says that we take issue with, you're gonna be like, whoa, because you're a dog person, right?
I am.
Okay, so here we go.
Is this about Payne outside barking?
Did you know that Payne did a dog test?
I know it now, but I didn't before.
Okay. So, but check this out. He does a dog test. All right. And hold on, I want to grab the right part that I want to show you.
All right. So I think the traumatized part, just for chat purposes, I think the issue is that she's not traumatized when she sees the guy. So how does
Correct.
she stand in a frozen shock stage or anything along those lines if her story is consistently saying that it's just some guy? Like it's some guy that she thought was just maybe a friend of Ethan's or whatever.
Yeah.
He's not a scary
Yes.
dude to her.
Mm-hmm.
There's no trauma in her seeing him for her to stand there in a shocked phase. That's
Yeah,
why I was
she
like,
didn't.
the wording bad, and they're actually talking about when they interview her, she's traumatized, and so she's saying that she just stood there like she was just like, oh shit, there's a dude here. Like,
Yeah, like he just walks right past her like nothing. So like he couldn't have been the killer, more or less. You get what I'm saying? Like,
right.
It's kind of just like that. Like if someone just walks right past you, like this person wasn't. If you would have thought that they were anything crazy, right? He's not running out. There's not blood flailing. There's no reason to call 911. And that's what's going to come up in this trial. Is going to be big. Is that if this person was a threat to you, you would have called 911, right? And she's going to say, yeah. Because this is what I'm trying to say is Dylan was used by the freaking FBI and by the police, and it's sick. So you want to talk about protecting victims? For you to use Dylan in this situation is disgusting to me. Dylan is being portrayed out there in the world like X, Y, and Z, okay? And it's just, it didn't happen like that. And that's what sucks. And these aren't Dylan's words in this affidavit. These aren't Dylan's words. It's what the police said that they were going to take from something and gets put into this, okay, for the purpose, and they're giving it a timestamp for the purpose to, this is how we have to get our guy, okay, that we have, right? Well, yeah. Because if this happened, let's say at 5 o'clock in the morning, or 2 o'clock, or 3 o'clock, or 6 o'clock, now you're going to have to ask yourselves, okay, well, what's the video evidence that's around the house? Okay, like what do we have at those times? We really have to hone in on this video surveillance camera stuff from 2 o'clock in the morning until noon of what's truly going on, right? Now this is where the dog comes into play. You ready for this?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Now the dog. I was blown away when we found out these facts. The dog has no blood on it whatsoever. None.
Right.
Allegedly. Okay. Right. Now the dog is found in a room. The door was open in Kaylee's room. All these doors are all open. Kaylee's room is open. That door's open. The bathroom, Maddie's room, and the dog is just chilling on the bed of Kaylee, and there's no blood. No, there's no blood on the paw.
Okay, so I want to talk
prints.
about the doors because we were originally told that the dog was locked in her room. The door was closed to Kaylee's room. That was the original story.
And that's not able to be proven because based on body cam, okay, when those detectives went in there, or the first responders rather, with the body cams, the body cam on Noonan's is him going into Kaylee's room, doors open, dog is just laying on the bed. Okay, like, and now this is where the defense is saying that, listen, this is what happened. This was their argument that's getting totally brushed under the rug. And me being, how I am, an anal, and now I want to give you this because you're going to be like, oh, damn, I see what you're saying. So there's a dog in the house and its owner is being attacked. Okay. All right. Mm-hmm. Dogs can smell things like that. You get a treat out, boom, blood. Now they're going to be able to smell blood. Okay. So you're going to sit here and tell me that the dog wouldn't be going barking crazy during the time of an attack or directly. I mean, so just think about all of this stuff here. The dog
Maybe it was the dog there that was stood there in frozen shock.
Okay, well, so here you go. Ready? So, hold on. I want to start right at the right part.
And the dog's just on the bed now at this point.
Yep, that's what.
Nunez is not the first officer upstairs, though, correct?
Yes, he is. He is.
Is he with somebody else? Because there's another name.
Yeah, three of them. Smith, Nunez, Gunderson.
Smith. Okay.
Okay, so, but hold on.
Was it not Smith who said the door was closed?
No,
I'm going to go back in my notes.
okay, so, but hold on. Okay. Here we go. Defendant has not met their timeline or has met their Frank's burden issue on the dog barking. Ready? Can you see this?
Yep, I see you.
Okay. In this issue, defendant challenges omissions pertaining to the barking dog reference in Payne's Exhibit A. It states that at 4:17 a.m., a security camera located at a nearby residence on King Road picked up a distorted audio of what sounded like voices or a whimper, followed by a loud thud.
Mm-hmm.
A dog can also be heard barking numerous times starting at 4:17 a.m. Now, this is the defendant's exhibit D3B. The only other information in Payne's Exhibit A pertaining to a dog refers to the fact that Kaylee Gonsalves' dog, Murphy, was found in her bedroom by first responders at Bates 5157. That's just the page number. Now,
okay. Oh, it's Bates. Bates is who it was.
No, Bates is the page. That means page number. That's just the way that they speak. Bates 5157 is the total. You can find that at page 5157 in discovery that was turned over from the state to.
Maybe that's just where I remember reading it because that name sounds really familiar. Okay, go ahead.
Oh yeah. It's not. So it's not a name. When they say Bates, it's like just interchange that with page number.
Got it.
Defendant contends that Detective Payne failed to include three allegedly important pieces of information pertaining to the dog. One, that the dog heard on the security camera continued to bark for 30 minutes after the suspect left, allegedly because they're going with the suspect leaving in the car. So from 4:20, okay, you add 30 minutes onto that, okay, and you're at almost 5 a.m., but we'll just say 4:50, okay?
Okay.
Now, number two. So here, from 4:20 to 4:50, a dog is barking for 30 minutes straight. Now, nowhere does, we don't know what Bethany has to say because they're saving that for trial. But here, nowhere in it is somebody like Dylan saying, oh my God, it was the most annoying thing is I just heard, but see, this is where you're going to ask yourself if this is what if this is what Dylan meant when she's saying, I thought I heard Kaylee playing with the dog because the dog was barking, just so think about that. Now, so two, that Detective Payne conducted a test to determine the dog was likely outside while barking. You understand this?
Yes.
So Payne determined, they did a test and he's like, well, that dog was definitely outside when the barking was happening. Now think about this. We have all those cars out there. Kaylee's is one of them. Kaylee's vehicle allegedly had the crate inside of it. Okay. All right. Just so hear me out. Okay. So hear me out. Now, and number three, that Murphy was found without any blood on him, even though the bedroom doors were open where the decedents were found. So all the rooms that had the blood with the decedents, open doors, including Kaylee's. Because hang tight here. That's what one would think, right? According to the defendant, this omitted information would have revealed that, quote unquote, whoever was in the house brought the dog back inside after the suspect left. If you're saying these murders happened between 4:07 and 4:17, okay, and then this dog continued to bark from 4:20 or started to bark at 4:20 until 4:50, all right, after they're saying that this would have been after the murders happened and that they stopped. What the defense is saying is whoever was in the house brought the dog back inside after the suspect left. Now think about what Dylan said. Dylan said that she heard what she thought was Kaylee saying, hey, there's someone here. And she's, she came downstairs and then she goes back upstairs. And it's like she had the dog. All right. So think about if this all happened way later, okay, which is moving the time of the crime, which is bad for the state. Like, they can't have that because they have to have this crime committed between the time that they're saying. Otherwise, it is not Brian Koberger. Understand?
Yep.
Okay. So, where was I? I'm sorry. Right here. So according to the defendant, this omitted information would have revealed that whoever was in the house brought the dog back in after the suspect left. This is at the amended memo, page 23. The defendant further argues this information is material and exculpatory because it undermines the narrative and timeline that support the probable cause. And I say, boom, this is holy shit. This is everything. And I'm going to tell you why. However, this is where Hippler this is his take on it. Okay. So you have this dog outside. And based on what Dylan is saying, it was Kaylee is still alive. And Kaylee is with the dog. She comes down the stairs and she goes back up the stairs. Okay. Dylan never says that, oh my God, the dog just kept on barking and then I had to go outside and get the dog. Okay.
No, I guess my question is, if he does this bark test and he's determining that the dog that's barking on the 1112 survey or camera or video, whatever it is, the audio, how do we know that it's even Murphy? How do we know that it's not another dog outside barking?
That's where I think that Payne determined that. But let me tell you what Hippler does here that's going to blow my mind, as if you're an investigator or if you're a judge. Like, how do you make this leap? Ready? He says, however, defendant's argument assumes without proof there was no doors left open in the home after the suspect left, to basically say that this is what he's saying. To say that the dog, this assumption is not only speculative, but contrary to evidence in his proffer that the sliding glass door to the residence, the same door towards which DM reportedly saw the suspect walk in, was left open. And my argument to that is that's what the defense is saying, that because that's what the state is more or less, that's what they've said. Okay. Like, they're saying, if they're going to argue and say, oh yeah, there's, no smudges of like, how did somebody open up a slider and blah, blah. How do we know that the person didn't go out the front door? Okay. It's just DM statements to say that the person went out the slider. You get that?
Yeah, but I mean, also the door being open and they already were inviting other people to come over. I just don't, I don't know how they can determine that.
Yeah, like the doors are wild cards, more or less, right?
Right, exactly.
Okay, so here this is where if the judge is saying, it's like, no, we want to get a Franks because we're going to find out all about this. All right, which is this, like, why aren't you asking Dylan about the damn door? There wouldn't be any speculating, So here they said that thus, if the dog heard barking was in fact Murphy, it could well have come back inside, watch this, through the open door and gone into Miss Gonsalves's room on his own, where it evidently remained. And I'm like, wait a second. There's a bloody ass rooms all over this place. It's the bloodiest thing you've ever seen in your life. And you're saying that a dog that's outside, not chained, this is what a judge is. Then you want to talk, this is highly speculative. That this dog,
pretty speculative on its own. I mean,
Teresa, I died. I couldn't believe that the judge is writing this. I said, wait a second. So this judge is basically saying that, okay, the door was left open, and that a dog who's a puppy who's 1 year old is just like barking for 30 minutes straight, then decides, okay, because remember, now it's not going to bark ever again. But then it just, okay, I'll just go inside, happen to not get my paws in any blood, not go check on my owner in the bedroom that has the door open, because the body cam showed that the door, like that's what we read earlier, because that was really important. And so the deal is that he's saying that there is simply no evidence to adopt defendant's speculation that somebody brought Murphy inside after the suspect left the residence. And it's like, are you kidding me? Like, yes, there's way more evidence to think that, or that Murphy was actually put in a vehicle. Let me tell you what I think. I think Murphy was put in a car, and that's why Murphy barked for 30 fucking minutes. Because Murphy was put into a vehicle outside and then was barking, okay, and then eventually got tired of barking, okay? Just like dogs would do, right? And so who put Murphy in the vehicle? Because that's going to make me that's going to give me more reason to think that that's why Murphy doesn't have any blood on him, right? Because Murphy had the opportunity to go into the house, right? And you're going to sit here and tell me that if Murphy's crate was actually found in the vehicle, all right? Now think about this. Now, you're a dog person. I had a puppy in 2022.
Yes,
Now, let me tell you something. There is no way in hell, if that puppy follows me all over the place, that puppy at a year old is not going to come into the room of where me and Maddie are, just to even or try to get help. Like, what? And now think about what Gonsalves said. It is pertinent. What that dog knows is pertinent. What he believed family members knew was pertinent. If you knew what that dog knew, this is when he wanted family members to come forward that he believed weren't coming forward. And if you go back and you put this all together now in a thing, why was Dylan so important? Hey, Dylan, what did Kaylee talk to you about? Was she ever talking about this human sex trafficking or sex trafficking or, human trafficking, period? Gooch, where's Gooch come into play? But now you want to sit here and tell me that a judge, this is how they ruled, and this is them. They said, oh, well, the defense hasn't shown. Dude, your own detective was doing a test to see where the dog was barking, and the dog was outside. And if there's not a chain out there, okay, this dog was barking from outside, and there's no chain, and why aren't we asking questions like, well, how does Murphy normally go outside? And where was Murphy? And then Murphy's found laying.
They should be able to tell the distance of this dog bark, at least a good radius of the camera, where the dog's barking from. Is there another dog that is making this barking? Is there another dog outside at that same time frame barking?
And I found one dog in the area when I went back and was walking around and stuff like that. It's right next to the house, but I could tell you this person wouldn't have been parked in the back. But to give you that little clip right there to see that there was a dog that's barking that I believe is Murphy. And you can, just like you can tell when your kids cry, it's your kid crying out of there's five kids playing.
Murphy? Yeah.
Yeah. You're going to be able to tell. But to sit here and see a judge say that there's nothing to see here and that a dog has no, how did you even determine that the dog had no, blood? Shit, you're going to say that Brian Kober had a damn vacuum leaving out of there. Well, that's absurd. I mean, this all just relies on a timeline. And so what seems to me is, how come we couldn't sit here and say that the murder was actually happening between 4:20 and 4:50 if a dog's going crazy? There's just so many things to this. It's just blow my head. I'm just wait a second. People want to know why Lena talks about the Idaho 4 case, because this is all bullshit. I don't know who did what, but this, how you could possibly come to this conclusion without saying, okay, yeah, we need to find out more about this. Or for a judge to say, oh, that you can do that during cross-examination. It's no, this was omitted from a probable cause, which is the timeline of a crime. That is, everything is circled upon as the timeline of this crime. Okay.
Okay, so for a Frank's hearing, they have to be able to show that law enforcement either intentionally, left out,
disregarded.
Or
your standard here is right here. So it's very simple. It's 2 sentences, and it says, in a Frank's motion, the trial court's determination as to whether a representation is false and whether a misrepresentation or omission was made knowingly and intentionally or with reckless disregard for the truth.
Correct.
Okay. And so it's so much discretion is on, obviously, the judge here.
Correct.
And they brought up 13 things, not just here's just one little thing. I mean, the
biggest thing is, just from looking through, the Franks, it's just ironic that both of these cases have Frank stuff in them. But just, if you take out the information that you deem to be bad from the PCA, right? You take out all the bad info that the defense says is bad. is there still enough probable cause that a judge would have signed off on that probable cause affidavit of arrest? If you took out the fact of the dog barking or the lack of a dog barking, or if you take Dylan Mortensen completely out of the situation, does it change the outcome of the probable cause affidavit?
Well, okay, for me, it's totality. They want to say the word totality. And so I think that if you take out all 13 things, absolutely, there's no probable cause. Because the number one thing for me is the timeline. They're saying they didn't use the IGG. So you asked me what Dylan Mortensen had said, and I just wanted to give you the page. It's on page 11. It's on page 11 that you can find exactly when she was interviewed by Officer Noonans. But here, did you want me to read it?
Yeah.
Oh, when these Exhibit A's were submitted in support of search warrant applications, DM had sat for at least 3 interviews with law enforcement, 2 on November 13th, 1 with Officer Noonans, and later with Detective Mowry, and 1 on November 17th with Detective Gooch. And see right here, this is the first time on November 17th that we're going to see the eyebrows. So her description of the intruder was notably similar. This is his words, Hippler, during all 3 interviews, and I disagree. Number 1, white male. Number 2, I agree with this part because it's just these. And number 2, slim, skinny, lean body type. Number 3, slightly taller than DM. Number 4, wearing all black. Number 5, wearing a mask that was covering his forehead and mouth. So anybody that's out there trying to say this was a COVID mask, please sit down, stop spreading lies. It's a ski mask. Number 6, a voice she didn't recognize saying he was here to help. And 7, the intruder walked out or toward the back sliding door without saying anything to her. Now, this is his words, because he's just like, this is his order.
Those are the parts of the statements, of all of her statements, that are consistent, which is what he's focusing on, outside of the vacuum and the eyebrows and the things that she only says 1 time or 2 times.
I just want everybody to know that on November 13th, so you have 13th, 14th, 15th, 16th. It is not to the 17th until she talks to Gooch. Okay, because I'm wrapping this all back into Gooch. And so she talks to Detective Gooch. So while she did not tell Officer Noonans that she noticed the intruder carrying a vacuum type object in his hand, she did convey that information to Detective Mowry. So that came with Mowry, which was okay. And later that day, as well as to Detective Gooch, which would have come on 11/17, not till 11/17, does she say that, she says that she remembered the suspect's eyebrows were bushy, but could not remember their color. And that didn't come until November 17th, and that was given to Detective Gooch.
Do blonde people have bushy eyebrows?
I can't tell you the last time I saw somebody and I would have ever said they have blonde eyebrows unless they were albino, just for the record. I would never, that would have to totally stick out to me.
I mean, just saying, blonde eyebrows don't typically become bushy.
Well, I just want everybody to know, though, that whole bush is not till November 17th, and it's just so important. It's so important because it clearly wasn't important to Dylan until it was gotten out of her, hey, and it was Gooch. And I just want to hear, I can't wait to hear that one day when I hear that interview. I want to hear the interview on why you would go back and talk to Dylan and say, okay, describe to me these eyebrows that you would have only been able to see. That you want now, in order to see the eyebrows, this is where I'm laughing. That's when she was like, when people will say, oh, they didn't walk past her because it was walking away towards the slider. In order to see eyebrows, you have to see somebody's full-on face. You understand?
Right. So so next it says DM likewise told Detective Mowry she could not remember the color of his eyebrows, but doesn't say that they were bushy. So she talks about the eyebrows with Mowry on the 13th, but doesn't just the color of them, versus they become bushy on the 17th.
Yeah, because like, think about this. That's what you're asking somebody who is telling you that they were supposedly traumatized and in a frozen shock state, but now she remembers these supposed bushy eyebrows. And this what leads me back to say, okay, they needed to go back to Dylan and get her to, I mean, what do you want her to say? Like were they male? Were they thin? Were they thick? I mean, I want to know how that came out. How did Dylan even begin to talk about the bush? You know what I mean?
Like maybe Gooch is like, okay, can you tell me like what you do remember? If you don't remember the color, what do you remember? And she's like, I just remember they were bushy.
Okay, now think about this. You interview her on November 13th twice, right? You got Detective Mowry. Now, why wouldn't Detective Mowry, somebody who's already talked to her, right?
Mm-hmm.
Who's supposedly like the Moscow dude, right? Just keep this all in the back of your head. We're going to bring in Vicki Gooch. I get it. Woman to woman, right?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we'll go woman to woman. I understand that. But she's on her way out. She's retiring, right? But she's one of the best. Maybe they're like, hey, Vicki, can you stick around and stay? I mean, I don't know. Whatever they said to her. So here they get good old Vicki Gooch to stay. Now, she is on the IGG investigative team. Do you understand that? That's the person that they put in asking Dylan Mortensen. There's only a handful of people that are part of the Idaho State Police IGG team, and Vicki Gooch is one of them. How crazy is that, right? And Vicki Gooch just a couple weeks earlier was involved in saving 6 human trafficking women. Right. And Kaylee Gonsalves was Dylan's +1. And the only reason that she came and was able to go to that party on Friday. And supposedly Dylan was able to see her Range Rover before anybody else was. If you listen to Dylan talk about that she went and saw Kaylee's Range Rover. Well, where would you have seen Kaylee's Range Rover? So there's just all these little pieces, right? And I'm over here just like, wait a second. Just because he didn't say, okay, we're going to go ahead and do a Frank's or this, that, and the other. You guys, this case has more holes in it than Swiss cheese. And the number one thing about it is this ridiculous timeline. This ridiculous timeline that a judge is over here literally writing 35-page orders and basically answering for the police versus just letting them answer for themselves.
So my struggle when I was reading all of the judge's orders, because like I said, I think they have the right guy, but I'm thinking we've got a the judge is very, he thinks that Brian Koberger's the guy. Like, and that I struggle with that. I get that as of right now, there is no jury. So the judge is your finder of facts and law right now in this stage of the process. But it's really just seems like he's really pushing the BK's guilty, which is a struggle for me when it comes to a judge.
What struggles to me is that you're supposed to be the referee, and I'm a judge, and I'm not going to answer for anybody. I want to hear their answers, right? Like, right. So I see this, and I'm just like, when you read his stuff, he's like, well, clearly this, and what I just read for you to say that, well, that's a far stretch that you just don't think that the dog could have just walked back in the way that it, there was a door open. So it just walked back in.
Well, maybe they're all speculating on that. They're all speculating on the dog and the dog barking. Like, I don't know. I don't think anybody's proven a point, but for the judge to be coming in and giving their opinion
wait a second.
It.
Well, I have a question there, though. Let's say me and you are detectives here, right? You're going to sit here and tell me and you, okay? Hey, Teresa, dude, what the heck's going on? So Murphy has no blood anywhere, right? And we hear the dog barking for 20 or 30 minutes straight, okay? And it's after when we think that this crime happened. Wouldn't we ask the girls who were the surviving roommates to say, hey, we got to talk about the dog, okay? So what was the normal routine? You came home at 2 or 1:45. Okay. When they got home, did they take the dog out? Does Murphy normally go on a leash? Does Murphy normally go on like for a walk around? Where does normally, like, what's the routine here? Then where does Murphy normally sleep when Murphy's there? Did any of you guys think to yourselves, the dog was barking and you couldn't sleep? I mean, wouldn't we be asking a bunch of questions about the dog unless me and you were talking and we're like, dude, you don't want to ask questions that are going to fuck up our shit. That's what I've started to notice, is that if we ask more questions and we start getting answers that are going to fuck with what we're thinking, we can't do that. Like, it's going to hurt we should have these answers, basically. Why is there no reference in here about, hey, they asked about the dogs to both of these roommates? Okay. Remember when Steve Gonsalves he was asked, he's like, well, Murphy really isn't a barker. And it's like, when were you hanging out with Murphy, though? If Murphy's always down on campus.
Well, she brings Murphy home with her. So Murphy was just at the house.
I mean, I get that, but to sit here and say like Murphy wasn't a barker about what? Like, your daughter's being stabbed to death. Where do you think Murphy was?
We have no idea what he's going to do in a situation where somebody's under threat. Yeah, so he's not much of a barker when somebody, comes to the door. Now, somebody's attacking his owner. We don't know. She's never been under attack with the dog around to know how he's going to react. So, I mean, I get that. For me, I don't know why the investigators don't just go prove what dog it is, or even say it's a possibility that it's one of these 3 dogs. We don't know that it's Murphy.
Okay, so I'm over here in the same boat. Like, I think that they've done all that, but they have to stick to like, hey, this is a Frank's, and we're over here just saying that now. Are you being misled? Is the tribunal being misled? And this is this is going to go down in history here. Do you understand with this case, they basically just okayed the fact that we can have the FBI can be working on this, Idaho State Police. We have a working document, you guys, and everybody's just inputting, and I'm just throwing whatever and putting it on it. Okay. And once I just make that point and to say, like, this is a sworn statement that you're supposed to have. This is supposed to be my sworn statement. And yes, I can get information from certain people. Absolutely. But at the end of the day, when this judge is ruling and saying that my sworn statement can include stuff that I have no personal knowledge of, I think that that's crazy, man.
Well,
I think that that's crazy. Like, and then the final part I want to bring up is that everybody in America, this isn't just me, you, everybody in America thought that whoever did this, because they said spread it far and wide, that whoever did this was stalking them. Okay. Everybody thought that, right?
Well, yeah. Well, because we have the Gonsalveses come out and say that they know that he was following the girls on social media. And so immediately everybody thinks that they're stalking. I am of the belief that no Brian Koberger account was actually following any of the girls on any social media. And if he was, it would have been under a catfish account anyway. And they should have found that when they were taking all of his devices. That's my personal opinion. And you and I have talked about this, but when this case broke, I was live all the time with it. And I was live when we were literally, I think it's on my stream, where we're watching no Brian Koberger Instagram accounts to 100 Brian Koberger Instagram accounts. And I was like refreshing, like, holy shit, like people are making all of this right now. Like while we're live with it, there was accounts being generated. We were watching it happen. So I don't think there is a tie like that. But I do still think that he, at some point, somehow.
Are you ready for this then?
Okay, so which one did we just cover? Which document? So I can take it off my screen.
Well, this is everything I'm showing you guys is the Franks. So these are just portions of the Franks.
Okay.
So what I've been just trying to say is that we've all been in the dark for however many years now, and then we finally get some information, right? To the point of just like, well, we think we're going to get facts. All right. And here, one of the biggest parts was if you were reading the affidavit, you, just like everybody else, would have thought that they got to Brian Koberger by November 29th, when they made it seem like the WSU police officers found his car and then reported that tip. Remember?
Yes. What date was that? That was
November 29th.
29th. Okay.
Okay. So that's one of the 13 points. So I'm going to turn to that, which is the WSU hit. And then I'm going to close it out with Cyray and Tim Slawinski, which I want to show you.
Toolman Taylor.
Yeah. Well, here you go. I went and bought his book. Okay. So I went and bought Tom's book.
Okay.
He is one of the experts that Ann Taylor used. Okay. And it's called Cellular Forensics for First Responders. And it's ways to preserve. Delphi would really needs to, it's 101 for dummies. Okay. So I went and got this because I wanted to, once I saw the name, I looked him up and I wanted to see what was up. So that's who we're going to talk about to close it out. But before we get there, here is the part about WSU. So this is the part about WSU is what everybody thought, which was how they got to Brian Koberger. And part of it was when Ann Taylor was like, well, did you get to him through IGG? Because you're saying that you don't know about Brian Koberger until December 19th. You know that date, right?
Yep.
Okay. Well, I have an issue with that. The issue I have with that is we all know that the FBI was helping out, right? And the FBI, let me grab me my, the Amazon warrant, okay? Are you familiar with the Amazon warrant?
Yes.
Okay. Well, the Amazon warrant went from, we are looking for stuff in March of 2022 from like, it was like the 20th to the 30th or something. And then it did, I think it was June 26th through December 6th of 2022.
Okay.
Okay. This is what Mowry puts in December 6th. And now he writes this up in 2023. So he's trying to get Brian Koberger's Amazon information.
Right.
And he writes this in 2023.
Yep.
Right. And so why wouldn't you go all the way until December 30th? The day he was arrested.
Isn't that when they go back and they ask for the additional?
No.
That's a different
No,
one.
this never it's because they did this. They took the FBI's search warrants. Okay. And this is why I believe that the FBI had Brian Koberger's name by at least December 6th to the December 13th. Because think about it, if you're the FBI, you're going to check your shit before you just say, oh, hey, here you go, Moscow. Here's the name I want you to go. Like, you're supposed to do X, Y, and Z. Like, they say the IGG turned over Brian Koberger's name to Moscow Police Department on December 19th. Then I have a question for you, just like I would have for the FBI. Why are you going and getting Amazon? If you're trying to get the Amazon when Brian Koberger could have bought a knife or bought a replacement knife with the sheath, right? You're going to go all the way up into the date that he was arrested, right? If you're doing this technically after he was arrested, right?
Correct.
So if me and you were on this case, Teresa, and I'm like, fuck, dude, we need to go get his Amazon clicks. We need to get everything to do with Amazon, right? And you're like, hell yeah, we do. All right. So we write up the search warrant, right? The only reason that I wouldn't ever go past December 6th or December 13th of 2022 is if that's the date of the fucking thing that I'm doing it on. Because I can't ask for something that's in the future, you know? So
if I'm writing it.
If I'm writing it on December 6th, right? Then my dates are going to be, June or whatever, June when he gets to Washington, June 26th, 2022 until December 6th, right?
Right.
That's going to be my telltale is the last date that I'm asking for. That's my telltale sign that's when you wrote it up, mofo. Because but here they really wrote it up on the 2023 in August. But guess what? These lazy motherfuckers did, Teresa. They copy, cut, and pasted everything, and they forgot to change the date of the last when it should have went all the way to December.
So you
30th.
think they knew about Brian Koberger?
Oh, fuck yeah. I know that they knew about Brian Koberger before it. I proved it. That's what Ann Taylor was trying to get to. And she's like, we need to call in these pieces of shit.
Well, so, but okay, so let me, and I don't know if you're ready to segue into this yet, but if they knew about Brian Koberger before the 19th, right?
I know they did.
Okay, so if they did, then they were already investigating Brian Koberger for the crime. Then what the hell does the IGG matter if they didn't get Brian Koberger's IGG info back until December 19th?
Well, if you're trying to frame a motherfucker, that's why. But there's other reasons why, because you're trying to hide the real reason how you found him. And so we have to go back to this, which is that has to do with victimology, but it also has to do with the motive.
Okay, so break that down for me then.
Okay,
Because
so here we go. So think about this. Ready? Me and you were detectives, right?
Yep.
All right. We get on this case, who, regardless of who we're going to go get search warrants for, if on August, so I'm going to go like this so people don't get confused. I'm going to print off the Amazon warrant to show everybody that I'm not making shit up. Okay. You're going to love it, T. You're like, okay, I live for this shit. First of all, print this. Okay. So I got this coming, which is, these are all the exhibits that were used in the hearing. Okay. Then more importantly, I got, okay. By the way, this is my girl, my printer right here. She's a beast.
Is that Henrietta?
Ah, shit, T, I love you. That's why I love you, girl. Okay. All right, so what do we got here? All right, this is Ann Taylor doing her magic. All right, I want you to see something. Okay, so right here. Can you see those?
Yes.
All right, just so you guys can see. So this is a list of all of the motions for the Frank hearing. These are all of the exhibits. So whenever Ann Taylor's referring to, like, you know, defendants, exhibit D, whatever. And so when I went through this, you can see everything that Ann Taylor was using. And so there's like 14 pages of this shit, okay? But the most important warrant that matters is Amazon. Because Amazon outs the police work. Somebody would need to answer this. And the reason we have not heard from this yet is I don't know when she's planning on doing this, but Ann Taylor has to pull the trigger. And why I believe that she has to pull the trigger, hold on one second, is, you know how they did Frank's multiple times in Delphi? I think that we're dealing with the same type of thing.
So you think there's going to be a Frank's 2 that they're going to add to it?
Yes. 100. So if we go to Idaho cases of interest,
I think the biggest thing for this Franks is that none of the information qualifies for the Franks.
But it did. But
Well,
according to Lena.
according to Judge Hippler, they're not they're not legal reasons for a Franks motion or for a Franks hearing.
Okay, so here I'm gonna give you something, and you could be like, "Damn, Lena."
Well, that's kind of what happened with Goal. So then they continued to add to it of, in Delphi with Judge Goal. If you guys didn't follow the Delphi case, she's a fucking handful. But
she is.
So they deny it after 136-page Frank's motion, or she denies it, and then so the defense continues to add on additional information, which includes everything from the original Franks, and then they just put like a supplemental in, so like a Franks 2, a Franks 3, a Franks 4, and just add other information as they find it that the cops have lied or omitted or intentionally disregarded information. So
okay, here it is. I got it. Okay, so remember the date I said was really important?
December 6th.
Okay, perfect. So there was a couple different Amazons. All right, and then
And just for clarification, you believe that the totality of all 13 reasons that Ann Taylor put in the Franks, if you had, as a judge, you would say, okay, the totality of all 13, not everything individually would get you the Franks hearing, but all 13 of them together should get you the Franks hearing because it shows the inconsistency of law enforcement with the lying, the omitting, and the blatant.
I don't think because if you since you didn't use the IGG, like there's no way that but see what Hitler kept. This is what they did. This is why it was really important to understand the dates when they were trying to get stuff. And the AT&T warrant sells it for me. The AT&T warrant is like you. Here, let me show you. 1 second. The testimony of experts are saying, listen, when these warrants would have come back from AT&T, and these are important ones because this is all about the data. What they're just trying to say is that the FBI had already done this work. They've already done this shit. And they just told Moscow Police Department, here, since we couldn't get them federally, because they were, I believe, trying to take this case over from Moscow Police Department and find a way to take this case themselves. Kind of like the Karen Reed case, or not the Karen Reed, but the Birchmore case. You know, hey, Sandra Birchmore was murdered. But here, the FBI doesn't take on murder cases, right? But they found a way to take on the Birchmore case because they found federal, the police and the district attorney in North, they weren't going to do dick, right? Because they're the ones covering up for a police officer, right?
Right.
So here you bring in the feds. Well, we don't take on murder cases in state. Like we have to, well, here, when they were able to get the text messages of Matthew and Sandra Birchmore, and somebody took it to the feds and were like, wait a second, she was a witness to her own rapes. Okay. And
right.
So that's how, then he was fudging his number. Like they had to get creative, So here, and I want to show you Ashley Jennings. So, which one's this one? Okay. Do you remember a warrant for what you would call, okay. They did an Amazon for the sheath. Do you recall that?
For the sheath?
Yeah. So on November 26th, I want you to take a look here. Do you see that? November 26th, 2022? Or is it not? Oh, wait, hold on. Maybe my camera got.
And then Travis has a question for you too. Whenever you have a second, and Travis, our
yeah.
Fire.
Yeah. So can you see now? November 26th.
Yeah.
Okay. So on November 26th. Oh, here's Travis. I'll answer it. So here is the really important question regarding Franks. What warrant are they trying to get tossed out? A search warrant, but items were seized under that search warrant. What they're trying to get tossed out is, well, first of all, with the Franks, they're saying that the probable cause would be the arrest warrant that led to then Brian Kohlberger's DNA ever being obtained. They never got Brian Kohlberger's DNA until after he was arrested. Then on January 5th, they got, because of his arrest, they were able to do a swab for his DNA that then they compared it to. But the arrest warrant to get him, there wasn't probable cause to ever arrest him. And so it would be fruit of the poisonous tree. Is he still in chat? Sorry, I didn't see that.
Yeah, no, he's here.
Okay.
It just takes forever on StreamYard to catch up with live chat. So sometimes the comments show up 30 seconds later. So
Yeah. So here, so this shows you that when they found the sheath. So on November 26th, I obtained a search warrant for Amazon, just like pure as day Amazon. All right. And because they were like, hey, the sheath was left here. Okay. Do you see?
Right. They were just looking for anybody who had purchased this specific.
Okay. Yeah, more or less.
Right.
Yep. Right.
Yep.
Okay. So
the
so
OG
that's
Amazon warrant.
Yeah. So that's that. I just want everybody to see that's that first one. Okay. So that gets tossed. Now, then after that one, okay, so that's all of that. So then, oopsie, sorry. inconsistencies. I have all these pages up now. Is this the one that's okay? Then, do you remember when they did a Reddit search warrant?
Yes.
Okay, so they only were interested in Kaylee's Reddit. Do you remember that?
Yes. And we were like, why the hell are they only looking at all of her stuff?
Yeah, exactly. Kaylee's Reddit, right?
Yep.
And so now think about this. You got Gooch interviews who, when, where, what. Interviews Dylan on what? The 17th, right?
Yep.
Okay. Of November, right?
Yep.
So here it is. This is the Reddit search warrant. And I was amazed. I was like, what the hell? Why are you interested in a Reddit search warrant? Okay. Do you see this?
No. Now I do. Yes.
Okay. So this is the Reddit search warrant. Now we're talking about, we're in the middle of it's just kicking off. We're just kicking off an investigation. And you are going to go do this on November 20th. Which who knows now, because the way that the judge said it is some of these were all messed up and it's like the affidavit of Lawrence Murray, but there was ones where we found it said, but it's I pain. It's just completely craziness. But anyways, we go to this Reddit one. And on November 20th, I obtained a search warrant for Reddit. And when you put this on the on a list of important or priorities, November 20th, I obtained a search warrant for Reddit. The warrant sat, okay, and was not served until December 1st. And this is where I think somebody made a goof. And it was like, wait, no, don't serve that yet, because they can't know about why we're asking for this yet. You following?
Okay. Why?
Okay, because why in the world would you, if it's so high priority to go and get this search warrant for Reddit? Everybody knows Brian Kober, what happened with Reddit. Oh, that was in part of the probable cause, remember?
Right.
Okay, because he had this whole big thing and he was looking for what? He put his little survey up there, right? So you're going to sit here and tell me I could see if they were interested in everybody's Reddit, right? But they weren't. They were only interested in going and getting Kaylee's Reddit on November 20th. But they hang on to it and they don't serve it until December 1st. If this was so important to you, why are you hanging on to this search warrant that you obtained? And I want to know on what I just want to know what affidavit you used, okay? That you're asking for Kaylee's search warrant or for Kaylee's Reddit, only Kaylee's. This would have been after November 17th when Gooch, okay, talks to Dylan, just explain to everybody this timeline. And November 20th, they didn't even have the November 22nd is when they had the makeup to be able to send to Othram, okay, to go ahead and start beginning IGG.
Right.
November 22nd. So here they're interested in Kaylee's Reddit. But wait a second. Someone was like, oh, wait, hold on though. Don't serve that yet. Don't serve that yet. You cannot serve that yet. Now, what's after December 1st though? Oh, wait, November what? November 29th? When what? Oh, WSU found motherfucking Brian Koberger's car, right?
Okay.
Okay. So here they always knew that they could never, ever reveal how they ever got to Brian Koberger. And if we have to, we will hide behind IGG. Who the fuck knows? I'm just trying to show you guys a true timeline here. If this was so important to go get a search warrant for Kaylee's Reddit, why are you hanging on to it and not serving it until December 1st?
Okay, so at this time they had asked for other social media accounts as well, right?
Yeah, of everybody. They asked for so my
question is on the other social media accounts, what's the date of the search warrant being obtained versus the date the warrant was served? Is there a lapse in all of them, or is there a lapse?
No, this is the only one. This is the only one. But just think about, why would somebody's Reddit be of high priority? Something would have had been said. And this goes back to what Kaylee was involved with, what Kaylee knew. Okay, about human sex trafficking, about what you would go and get, you don't know why are you going and getting Kaylee's Reddit? And then and then you go, it's so important to go get it, but then you hang on to it and you don't serve the warrant until December 1st. That just seems like like either that's so sloppy, right? Or it was deliberate. I mean, it's one or the other.
Well, that's what I'm saying. If it's all of those warrants, like, so somebody, because a lot of the times they have one person who's just like,
it's
okay,
not like that. It wasn't like that.
Getting all of the warrants together, and then they go get them all, signed off on, and then as they're going out to be served. That's what I'm saying. To look at the other ones, and if this is the only one, I understand what you're saying. If they're all like that, it means somebody went on the 20th, got them all, set up and ready to go, and then they weren't served until whoever was serving the warrants comes back from vacation over Thanksgiving or what. I'm just saying, like, the reasons if they're all the same. But if that's the only one, I get what you're saying.
Okay, ready?
Yeah.
And now they tried to cover it up. Ready? On the 1st of December, 2022, at approximately 2:09 p.m., the following peace officers, Detective Lawrence Mowry, served the search warrant herein before, served it, right?
Yep.
And then here's to show you that it was Kaylee, and they're using her phone number. Okay. It looks like something else was whited out because this line's a little messed up. You know what I mean? Like, you could kind of tell when stuff's being redacted. Okay. And then look at what they did here. This receipt and inventory was made in the presence of, they don't put it there. This is the redacted. A copy herein was given to the following named persons on this date of this, look at what day it comes back. Ready? Ta-da! December 22nd.
Put it down a little bit.
December 22nd, the day right before they do the 23rd, which was Heavenly Day done for Brian Kohlberger, which was all of the AT&T stuff to go and get his pen, trap, and trace, AT&T warrant 1, and then an hour later, AT&T warrant 2. And you would have to take 2 days to pen and plot and do all of the plotting for them to say they need what they're going to go get with warrant 2. What they claimed was in the return of warrant 1. It would take a day or two to do. And they were able to write up this warrant and ask for warrant 2 within an hour. And the judge is saying nothing to see here. Okay. Now, we're going to show you one more. And this is what Ann Taylor was trying to show everybody, is that how they're trying to say they got to Brian Kohlberger is not how they did it. And nor was there probable cause if you even would have gone this route. Tara, I can promise you I'm definitely not way off. Here's your AT&T warrant then.
It's all in the document, so you can fill in your blanks however you want to fill in your blanks. This is what she thinks that these dots mean. So, I mean, her and I don't always agree on everything, but I mean, I don't think you're way off on anything. I think you're looking at it very clinically. So that's why I'm just asking the questions that I'm asking so that I can, figure out what's the big picture of what they're doing.
Okay, so then in August, when they did the Amazon of Brian Kohlberger, so here's the return. I'm going to pull that up. They sealed it. Hold on, I have to print it from here.
Okay, so
the point is that I have no idea if he's innocent, guilty, blah, blah.
Right, but what's the shady shit that's going on to get him to be found guilty? I'm on the same page with you. I get that 100%. You're like, I have no idea. I think they have the right guy, but I don't also want to screw up the fact that if they have the right guy, don't do shady shit to make it work, because then you're going to screw everybody over regardless. So we're on the same page. So I just want to break this down though for the connection purposes of.
It's like this. Do you want
off on serving these search warrants until
there's blood in the house, you guys. There's blood in the house. There's blood on the railings. This stuff does not belong to Brian Kohlberger. Nowhere in any of these documents are they doing anything to figure out who the blood belongs to. How can you have blood on the railing? How can you have blood on the railing? Okay, and you and Hippler's over here just like. How is that not important? How are you not making a family tree for the blood and then there's blood on gloves that are outside, and all of these are different. None of them are matching. And so it's like, wait a second, if that's my kid, I want every single person involved in this. So how is there blood inside that house that doesn't belong to Brian Kober at all? Okay. And nobody cares about that blood in that house?
Well, I think that the bigger issue about the blood in the house, well, for me, we can talk about blood. You want to go into the blood stuff? We can go into the blood stuff. I just wanted to finish this other part first. But for me, the biggest issue is why the state doesn't, why not just test it? Why not just figure out who it belongs to? It's the same bullshit we have with Delphi, where there's just fucking random ass hairs and shit all over the place. Nobody cares to figure it out. Why not test the blood? And then they say, well, it's not enough of a sample to be able to put it into CODIS. Okay, fine. Guess what?
Who said that? Who said that? Who said that?
Isn't that why it's not run in CODIS? Isn't that what the whole purpose of why they're not testing the blood on the handrail? Was it insufficient amount?
Where was that testified to? I have my thing is I have no idea. I haven't. Nobody has testified to that ever.
I wonder if that's on a news clip then.
Like
I know,
you should see.
that's what I heard.
Yeah, you should see what
I know better than the mainstream media, so I'm probably repeating bullshit from mainstream media. So
no. You're exactly right though with what you're saying. Like that's what people think is that I saw this or I saw this or I saw that, and I'm just like, well, all I'm asking for is some receipts on that.
It was something that Thompson said during a hearing. I'm like, I know I heard it, but now you want me to source it, and I can't. So I'm going to take it back if I can't source it.
All right, so I'm going to show you something.
Tara, she's not saying that Kaylee's Reddit is tied to Brian Koberger. She's saying that Kaylee's Reddit is tied to.
I'm not saying Kaylee. I'm saying that why was it so important that early on? That should have not even been why would somebody's Reddit be on your radar?
Yeah, is it a potential tie to Gooch, who was investigating human trafficking? That Kaylee's talking to her dad about human trafficking around the same time, and then Gooch goes to interview Dylan Mortensen. So the whole tie for the Reddit has to do with what does Kaylee know that people are looking at. Not that Reddit isn't tied to Koberger.
Yeah, I'm saying
I know why she thinks that, because you were talking about how they went and got Brian Koberger's Reddit. That's just two separate things that they wanted his Reddit, they went and got it. So, but with Kaylee's, they waited.
Well, because they said that it was just like, it was just some open search. You have to understand that back in the day when they would have been Googling Brian Koberger's name, it's so easy for us to have found things now because it's so much Google like that. Okay, stuff is going to come up. But back then when they were saying that, if you listen to how they say that they got to Brian Kober and what they did, you guys, there's only 2 towers that service Moscow. So regardless of where you would have ever been in Moscow, you would have still been peeing on a tower that said that it services 1122 King. And that is so misleading. So if you're shopping over here at Walmart, okay, or over here at Marshall's, or wherever the hell they were doing stuff, okay, if you're there to do anything, right when you come into, you're going to be on the same tower that services 1122 King. And that's the most ridiculously misleading. So when everybody was like, oh my God, they were at the house 12 times, or he was literally on a cell tower that services all of Moscow 12 times.
Okay.
That's what it says. Okay. So, and that's what Ann Taylor was saying. It's like, this is so misleading. And when you want to talk about what a Franks is all about, it's like you're giving, I don't care if this is a working probable cause that y'all are doing with 50 motherfuckers. Okay. Yes, you guys are misleading the tribunal. You're misleading the tribunal to think and to lead her to think X, Y, and Z, which was that they were stalking, or this person was stalking the victims. Or we need it to prove that, that he was or that he wasn't, because we have to get the historical records, because he shut off his phone when he committed this crime. You know what I mean? The phone was off during this time. And so you're saying things. But the biggest part is we all believed as a world, whoever read that probable cause, believed that they got to Brian Koberger and it would be a toss-up between WSU giving that tip on November. That's how they put it. They put it in an order. The magistrate would have read it and would have seen, okay, oh, then here it is, November 29th. They ran all these databases and they come across, okay, Brian Koberger, and they put it in that order to make you think that they found Brian Koberger on November 29th. And here you don't find out until Payne testifies in May of 2024 that, yeah, no, I never got that tip. We didn't get the name Brian Koberger until December 19th. If you think that that magistrate thought that, the world didn't think that. Nobody thought that. It was written in a way, and Hitler talks about it, and he has an answer for it, and it is absolutely delusional. It is absolutely sickening in my mind how you're answering for what they thought. And why aren't we asking Meghan Marshall what she thought? I get that you can't call her, but hey, Meghan, what'd you think? But it's absurd to think that the order that you gave us, you're acting like you did not use IGG. That is the only way that you identified this motherfucker. And you didn't even say it in there. So how did you develop probable cause?
But you think they identified him before the IGG?
The reason I'm saying that, the reason I'm saying that is based on the Amazon warrant. The Amazon warrant and the fact that you're going to sit here and tell me that WSU finds his vehicle in the manner that they say on November 29th and isn't jumping up, jizzing all over the place to go tell Payne and the rest of the unified command to say, oh my God, here we go. Here's this guy's vehicle. You guys that you're looking, be on the lookout for this white Honda Elantra. We found one. And guess what? At the time that we found it, yeah, it was Washington plates. But before that, it was Pennsylvania plates. And Pennsylvania doesn't ever roll with a front license plate. Okay? So my point is that how a detective could possibly get up on the stand and say that we didn't have that tip until after IGG, then why is it in your probable cause in a flowing manner that it's leading the magistrate to think that you got Brian Koberger on November 29th and November 30th when you didn't?
Mm-hmm.
And that's because that's what made it all happen. Because of this magistrate reading this document, it made it seem like, because they waited, y'all. They waited. When I found out that they were sitting on stuff and didn't go and don't go and give Meghan Marshall anything, right? They didn't give Meghan Marshall anything until December 23rd for Brian Koberger. And it was already in that flowing manner, which made it seem like to Meghan Marshall, okay, on December 23rd, that what they claimed is that they had Brian Koberger's name on November 29th and 30th. Because they weren't continuing giving her, like, she wasn't getting this probable cause affidavit exhibit A's on like December 1st and December 3rd and December 10th and December 13th. That's not how it was. They sat back and let the FBI do whatever it was that it was doing. And either Moscow Police Department knew that the FBI was, hey, let us do our thing and we'll break you off. Or they were literally sitting there like dead ducks because Idaho State Police, who were actually working with Othram for the whole IGG, they had a totally different name and a whole different family. And it was the wrong branch, wrong this, wrong that, or was it actually the right one? And the matter is that when you read it, if I'm going to read a story and you're going to tell it to me in chronological order, I'm thinking that that's how you came across it. Never once, and this is by omission, never once did Payne say, hey, we didn't find out about Brian Koberger until December 20th. All right, y'all. But WSU knew about him, but somehow we just have horrible communication skills, right? Because they can't say, how does WSU not, if they're providing, hey, we're coming across this guy here, we came across it. How did two people from WSU find a car within 30 minutes of each other that aren't working together? Because I believe that the feds didn't trust Moscow Police Department. I believe that the feds had the detective from WSU do a little finicky shit, okay, and go and check to see if Brian Koberger changed the way that hey, did he cover up? Did he cover up some of his, little reflectors to make it look like a 2011 or a 2013? And then actually when you peeled stuff off, because if you're going to talk about some calculated ass shit, if you think Brian Kober did this, all right, and he's very smart, all right, you're like, but hey, we can't let Moscow Police Department know that we're doing this, right? But they came across it. But hey, we're just going to use it to be able to get probable cause down the road because we're not going to say that we used IGG. I mean, it's just it's crazy. But and this is why I want to bring that part up is because of what Hippler said.
Okay.
Hippler then says, and he talks about this. Hold on 1 second when I show you this.
Okay, so you pull that up. So antipsychotic. First of all, I fucking love your name. So
I know it's great.
I know it's a great name. So you said that the FBI gave LE a tip, and that's how they knew who Brian Koberger was before the IGG.
No.
Well, then
No,
I'm asking. This is what antipsychotic said. So I want them to be able to put in chat if they know when or what that tip was. Either one or both.
Here is the
and I don't know if somebody in chat said, like, you know, this is all going to come out at trial. I just want to say I wish you were right. I wish you were right, but I don't trust that anything or that everything always comes out at trial. I don't feel like the jurors always get to know all the info. So I just, as much as I want to say, well, wait for trial and see what happens. This is actually where the majority of the fact finding, in my opinion, really is, because a lot of this stuff doesn't actually get to go sit in front of a jury most of the time. So I don't know. It's like, for me, I'm like, I don't know if I want to wait. Payne said that the FBI gave them a tip to test his DNA. I'm sure Payne said that in the last hearing. Okay.
No, they didn't say it like that. Payne actually didn't say anything like that. Payne said that no, they didn't tell us to go test his DNA. Payne said in the last hearing, quote unquote, that no, they just gave us the name and it was a tip, like as in lead, and that it wasn't like, here, go get this person's DNA. Okay, that wasn't it. It was like, here's a name. This is how Payne is saying it. Mind you, they're supposed to be all co-located and working on this together, but Payne's completely in the dark, right? So just think about this for a second. So Payne's just completely in the dark, allegedly. And here's the name Brian Kober, but that's all we can give you is just
it was just a tip. It was a tip, like, hey.
Yeah, like, hey, it's IGG. And it isn't like go get his DNA to test it. Okay, it was start investigating this guy in terms of, okay, we start doing simple Google searches. We start doing, and that's when we found about the Duke and him getting pulled over. And then and then he's listing out these ways. And he's listing out to try to explain how they got to him.
So your thought process is then that Brian Koberger is on a list of potential people that they're looking into, but he doesn't become like their suspect until the 19th with the IGG.
No.
You think that
my list, my thought is that this is a fairy tale dream. Like, when you hear about the IGG and this raw data that goes to Othram and that leads to 4 brothers who do not have the name Koberger, and that somehow they say, okay, on December 10th, halt what you're doing. Stop what you're doing. Give it over to the FBI. And then miraculously, this SMP profile that is, let's just say it's the size of 1. It then doubles in size somehow when the FBI has it. And then there's no information about any chain of custody, nothing. I mean, it is just like what Othram was doing and who and where they were headed was nowhere. It would have never led you to Brian Koberger. So then how does what the FBI, like, I just want to know what data the FBI had to originally start with, because based on the testimony that was given in the closed hearing, it's clear as day that they had to start from scratch because the data sample was doubled in size. There is absolutely nothing improper in an investigation where you have people of interest that do not become a suspect and eventually you obtain a warrant on during the investigation. No, 100%. I'm saying that when you read the probable cause affidavit, it is telling a story on how they got to Brian Koberger, okay? And it doesn't talk about them using IGG whatsoever. And so they're saying this is how we got to Brian Koberger, but we didn't use IGG, okay? But they're saying, well, we don't have to tell you every way that we got to a suspect. We don't have to tell you everything, and nor do you. You don't. But what I'm saying is, if you actually read the only way that you got to certain things was from IGG that you then put in to this probable cause affidavit. But the part where you're going to fail miserably is the AT&T portion, because you're lying about the path of the vehicle to make the warrant work. And they knew that the path of travel wasn't that. They lie about 7 minutes. Then Judge Hilfer just adopts and says, oh, well, the car could have just turned around. Well, we have cameras all over there. You would have seen that, right? Where is the car turning around and then going the other way? I mean, it's just absurd when you want to talk about something that's not high profile. And I've seen just so many African American. If this guy was black and in a shitty ass neighborhood, man, this guy, and if he was innocent, okay, they would put all this together and make it look so good because they've done it so many times. And then boom, like you can't, I mean, he's donezo, right? But not actually when you actually have money behind a defense to show like, no, you guys just lied your asses off. You guys basically railroaded somebody. There's this evidence that's against Brian Koberger, but then you guys took all these other little things that really aren't what you're saying to then make it seem like you have all of this evidence against him, when you really only just have this little piece, which is your touch DNA. And that's even if I'm going to give that to you. But I'm going to give that to you because I got to believe in law enforcement at some point, right?
Well,
like, but I'm saying that you can't, hey, we can't get to him and we can't use this. But if we say this, and this, then because the magistrate's going to tell you until you go and match some DNA here, because, you know, you're leaving off the fact that there was this other blood at the scene. Like, why didn't you go that route to try to like get the blood evidence to link it to something, you know? And so I just want to close out on this part, which is how the timeline. I believe, just like everybody else believed this whole time, based on the probable cause, that you had Brian Koberger via WSU working with you.
Okay. So this goes back to my original question then. So you think they know about Brian Koberger, but simply are just leaving him on a short list until the IGG, or you're thinking they're full on, he's prime suspect as of, what was it? I think it's November 29th, if my memory serves, when they give the tip about the guy at WSU. Carson Hockey's mom, she's on criminality. So no, you didn't. Your wrench isn't gone on her channel. It's just don't have one on this.
Oh, hi, Carson.
she's hanging out over here with me today.
Yeah, no. It's.
So am I kind of breaking that down correctly then?
There
Are
we
you
go.
thinking that they were really full on going Brian Koberger as of the 29th of November? And that kind of leads you into all these other dates that we were just talking about and why they were kind of holding off and putting things together in the effort to get it to be Brian Koberger.
I'm saying that I don't know. Nobody should know this answer. If you know this answer, then you're law enforcement. Like, I'm saying that what they're saying to us cannot make sense because it's right here. Listen to what he says to this. We've all listened to this whole affidavit so many times. So the defendant has not met his Frank's burden on issue number 5, which is the misleading timeline. This to me is the most important thing. So in issue 5, defendant claims that law enforcement created a false narrative of their investigative timeline in Exhibit A, so the probable cause affidavit, so as to make it appear that the defendant was identified through their investigative efforts and not, in fact, through IGG. In other words, the defendant argues that law enforcement having already identified the defendant through IGG, then tailored their Exhibit A to support probable cause because they did not give it over to the magistrate until December 23rd. Okay. So remember they were all on to Jack D, right?
Right.
Okay. So then they tailored this Exhibit A to support probable cause for an already identified suspect. Already identified suspect. Not an unknown suspect. Defendant provides 2 examples of what he contends are misleading timelines about his identification. But these examples there's judges saying, fall far short of the Frank standard. And I'm saying, no fucking way does it fall short. And here, this is all my reasoning. First, and this is from the judge's perspective.
Okay.
That's why it's so important to read Ann Taylor's motion on this, her brief on this, because in which Ann Taylor does not want it to be sealed. And it's like, when are you going to unseal this since you've put out all this shit? Unseal Ann Taylor's brief. So first, the defendant notes that in Payne's Exhibit A, Detective Payne states that on November 29th, 2022, officers from WSU queried white Honda Elantras registered at the school and pulled up a 2015 white Honda Elantra with the Pennsylvania plates that was registered to defendant. That's the Exhibit D3B at Bates, as those are the numbers. That same day, Detective Payne states that another WSU officer was patrolling the area of defendant's apartment and located a 2015 white Elantra with Washington plates. He ran the plate and it returned to defendant. That's from ID, is just that it's from the PCA. Defendant points out that Detective Payne was not even aware of the WSU officer's findings in the regard until December 20th, 2022, after defendant was already identified by IGG. And this is what Payne testified to. He said, we had Brian Kohlberger's name on December 19th. That's a statement. Right. Then we did not know about this whole Washington tip thing, okay, until December 20th, they're saying.
Okay.
Okay, so but now think about this. Ready? If I query for you, because you tell me, hey, Lena, you work at the University of Cincinnati. All of those students have to buy those parking passes. Will you type in and query for me? You asked me this off the rip, 5 days into it. Will you query for me all white Honda Elantras that were registered to anybody that has parking pass? Okay, sure. So boom, I do it on that day. Back then, right? So I do it and I just send you an email, let's say. So it has all of these people on it. Okay. Okay. So based off of, just think about that. If you tell me to do that, or I just do that. So defendant points out that Payne was not even aware about this until December 20th, after defendant was already identified by IGG. However, he contends Payne's Exhibit A makes it appear that defendant was identified in part through the WSU queries. That's exactly what they did for us. Is that not how you would read it? Remember that?
I kind of feel like I think I understand what you're saying. I
don't think about the IGG. Don't think about that they ever use IGG, because they're making it seem like to this person who they're getting probable cause from, this person doesn't know if they're working IGG, have IGG, nothing. So what's in front of us here, and it's the probable cause that we've all read, you would read it, and one would be the only way that you're starting to connect dots, that's why it's on page 7, 8, and 9 of the probable cause, because it's so early on, because that's what making it seem like that you focus then on Brian Kohlberger, okay? Because then everything spans from that. Then it's okay, we ran who this guy was. Well, at first I saw his DMV and oh my God, he had bushy eyebrows. And that's oh my God, he looked like who Dylan said it looked like. And then, okay, now he's a criminology student. Okay. Then he was pulled over in Moscow. Okay. So we went ahead and pulled those body cams. Oh my God, he has a white Elantra, right?
Well, so it looks like Payne is trying to say that they changed. So the Exhibit A becomes Brian Koberger because now they know that that belongs to Koberger. So they're basically backfilling information.
He's not making it seem like that though. Like how it's making it seem, because remember, you can't be backfilling shit. Like you're just doing a fluid investigation. So if I want to go like, this is what should cause everybody problems, is that everybody is lying to themselves if they don't think that they worked backwards. Because in here, so I'm going to continue right here. Second, the defendant takes issue with Detective Payne's focus on suspect vehicles. One, lack of front license plate. In Payne's Exhibit A, he discussed his review of surveillance footage. Now, this is where it's interesting. A review of camera footage indicated that a white sedan, hereafter suspect vehicle 1, was observed traveling westbound on Snyder Avenue at Idaho State Highway 95 in Moscow at approximately 3:28 a.m. Now, in order to be there at that point, you would have at least had to leave. Like, no doubt about it. You have to at least leave by 3 o'clock in the morning to be able to make it to this point.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, from WSU. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
That's very, very important. Now, on this video, it appeared suspect vehicle 1 was not displaying a front license plate. Now, it is imperative for you to show. You cannot just, hey, that's got to be his car. Like, so it was important for them to say that. Detective Payne later points out that the defendant registered his 2015 white Elantra with Washington State on November 18th. So he noted that previously the vehicle was registered, though, in Pennsylvania, which, unlike Idaho and Washington, does not require a front license plate to be displayed. Defendant contends that although Exhibit A makes it appear that law enforcement was focused on the lack of a front license plate early on, it was not until after he was identified through IGG that it became an object of inquiry. Okay. In neither example, Hippler says, has the defendant established Detective Payne's investigation timeline to be misleading or false, much less intentionally or recklessly so. And this is where I literally died. This is absurd right here. First of all, there is no video out there that shows that Brian Koberger did not have a front license plate. Okay, I live in Ohio. It's right next to Pennsylvania. We do not have to have front license plates. Every video, okay, where Brian Koberger has been seen, has anybody seen his front license plate due to a pullover? All you see is the back, okay? So just putting that out there. Just because Pennsylvania doesn't have it does not mean that you don't have one on. You just don't have to display it. But you know how many people in Ohio have front license plates, even though we don't have to have them?
Right.
Okay, just letting everybody know that. Now, in neither example, the defendant.
Before you keep going, I have two questions.
Okay.
The WSU guys who give over the tip on the 29th, what do they say about the license plate on the car?
They haven't said anything about it. They were
the
never
WSU
questioned.
guys in their information that we just read, they didn't say anything about the license plate on the car or where it was registered to?
Nope. The one guy said that when he found it on that November date, it had Washington plates on it. So they didn't say anything. They just simply queried this. They queried these. There was never anything that this is what this person said. There was no, it was never testified to by either one of those gentlemen. And those are detectives. Those aren't guys that work at midnight. So that's the other thing I want to stress to people. The one guy that found his vehicle at 12, which is like right before 12:58 a.m. He is a detective that is he's an expert with taking DNA off of bra clasps. Okay. This is not some patrol. Yeah, that's a very, he's a sexual assault detective.
Okay.
Okay. So like it's somebody that if you want to get, let's say you want to swab somebody's handlebar of their car to get DNA, or you want to have somebody that's, and you're not going to send your little shit show of a patrol guy. We're not talking about campus security here. We're talking about somebody that's a big wig in the police department at WSU. It's somebody that the FBI would have talked to say, hey, we need you to be, we need you to do something. Because I can tell you, if I'm in the FBI, me and you are in the FBI, and when I get a name from somebody, sugar tits, that before I turn it over to Moscow Police Department, we're going to double check our work before we give it to those dumbasses, right? Because they've never even worked a bicycle. Someone stealing a bicycle. Why? We're going to check our work. We're not just going to hand over a name to Moscow Police Department.
Right.
Okay. That's not what you're going to do if you're the feds. And so there's just no way that the Moscow or the FBI got Brian Kohlberger's name on the 19th and immediately called up Payne and was like, here you go. Here's the name we got from IGG. We just got it in. That's not how that would have went at all. Think about it.
So here's my second question. And I don't remember this off the top of my head. Remember the initial car they were looking for was the white Elantra 2011 to 2013, I think it was, right? Mm-hmm. And then they change it to they're looking for 2011 to 2016 or whatever.
Yeah, we get into that right here.
Okay, so what date does that change?
After they have Brian Kohlberger's name. After December 19th.
Okay.
How does that make you feel now? Chef's kiss.
Okay, keep going.
Okay.
But I got to get into the IGG stuff here, and the DNA and all that. We've got to get there too. So we'll go there after this.
And for the record, I don't believe that the police planted evidence. I believe that there's a crime scene that was contaminated heavily from the time of the murders until even well after, even like it was supposedly a crime scene. So I'm talking about heavy contamination. I'm also saying that I don't put anything past a bunch of college kids, okay, that have a problem with somebody coming to the door for a noise complaint and they all lose their dicks over that. What do you think a murder and bunch of kids murdered is going to do to those college kids? Do you think they're going to be truthful? They couldn't even be truthful when it was a noise complaint knock at the door. So I'm not accusing the police of planting anything. I'm explaining what the defense is saying. And they're saying that nothing adds up because there's nothing coming back to Brian Kohlberger. Even after you got to him, he's not following any of the victims. There's no blood in his apartment. There's no blood in his parents. There's no blood in his car. There's no fruits, you guys. It's like you keep striking out. And that's what I see when there should have been just all this shit to just fall right down, because this guy is so guilty. And that's what I want to see. I want to see that. I want to see that, hey, you know what? So guess what? You guys didn't violate anybody's rights because you just violated your own damn policy, which tells me that you guys don't have any integrity. It also tells me that you may have a class action lawsuit against your asses, but I have integrity. And there's no way in hell, I'm going to find a way to do it the right way. People can say whatever they want about me, man. But you know what? I'm not going to team up with people and be like, okay, let's just go and fucking go rogue. I ain't going to do that. So the cops didn't plant anything, but I'm telling you, the defense is saying that something is out of place. And that would be the knife sheath. It's out of place. And it comes up by, guess who found the knife sheath? Payne.
Yeah, Payne.
So here, there can be no question. This is what Hitler says. There can be no question that that defendant was identified in part through the WSU officers' queries. Are you fucking kidding me? And through the suspect's vehicle's lack of a front license plate. Are you fucking kidding me? There's no evidence that he had no front license plate.
That's what Bella's asking you right now in chat too, is how do we know that he didn't have a front plate? When he got pulled over in October, the officer doesn't say anything to him about, hey, while you're here, you're going to need a front plate or whatever. No. And more importantly, there's no video evidence to this date, because every time that you get pulled over, they come from behind. It's kind of like a, Snoop Dogg video. Doggy style. They come from behind, they pull you over, you see the back of the license plate. Right.
We have no idea if Brian had one or not. Okay. So, but what he says right here, this is my comment. Wow. That this is what he's saying. This is the judge. The judge is
I'll
saying
attest to the fact that just because you have to have one doesn't mean that you do. And just because you don't have to have one doesn't mean that you don't.
Well, when he was pulled over in October, though, he still would have had his Pennsylvania plate. So you don't need, I mean, I have my Pennsylvania plate on me. You're going to sit there and say, oh, well, you're in Washington. So even if you have,
they would say that you moved here. Are you living here now? You're going to need to change over your license and your registration,
100. But if you're a student and you go to school there, just because you go to school there doesn't mean, but he actually did. He changed his address before he left. You know that, like, his ID said his address, like he switched it. It's actually very interesting. He got a new ID when he got there, okay, but didn't change his plate, had to wait until his birthday to then change his plates after November 18th. Again, a very interesting date when you want to talk about things. But just think about this. He's saying there can be no question that the defendant was identified in part through the WSU officer's queries. You got to be shitting me. There is so many questions to that now because he wasn't identified through that because nobody talked to them prior to December 19th, right? So it wasn't until December 19th's IGG, right, that then they say, oh, then we talked to WSU on December 20th. And that was the first time that we ever talked to them. Okay, so if you would have never had the IGG coming through with this whole tip, would you have ever talked to WSU?
No, because they go and take all these other tips and information that they'd received to create this PCA and put their case together.
Okay, so I'm right with you there, Teresa. So how can he say there can be no question that the defendant was identified in part through the WSU's officer's queries and through the suspect vehicle's lack of a front license plate, as observed in surveillance videos from the night of the murders? And guess what? You can't tell if there's front license plate or not. And nor can you just say that, I got to continue. The fact, this is where I go like bracket, because I'm just like, I cannot believe this. The fact that law enforcement had additional DNA evidence tying defendant to the crime does not render it improper for law enforcement to rely on independent evidence accomplishing the same. They didn't, though. This is just absolute wild.
The fact that law enforcement had additional DNA evidence tying defendant to the crime does not render it improper for law enforcement to rely on independent evidence accomplishing the same.
That's not even...
What additional DNA evidence ties the defendant to the crime?
They're saying then the IGG. What he's trying to say is that it's absurd. And this is what Ann Taylor was just like, how are you not getting this? You don't get, they're saying in the probable cause affidavit, they don't even mention the IGG, Hippler, okay? And they're making it seem like on November 29th and 30th to the magistrate that we have Brian's name. And that from that, read the probable cause, Your Honor, it goes in chronological order, okay? And maybe we need to make that more known when we ask questions. So I'm going to knock Ann for that. You're going in chronological order when you're receiving things, right? So when you're writing out this probable cause and it's a working document, you couldn't possibly, what were you doing? You went back because you didn't turn it in until December 23rd and you just thought like, oh, let's fluff it over here and let's fluff it over there. If it's a working goddamn document, you're going in order. I'm calling you up, Teresa, and I'm like, hey, write this down. I just found out that, boom, you're putting it in there. Then the next thing, we found this out. But here, where the whole WSU thing should have come into play is literally 10 pages later. You're making it seem like you got to Brian Kober just like we're arguing and you're telling this magistrate, we had him on November 29th, November 30th, and then we did all the things like this. Then we Google searched him on November 30th. Then we Google searched him on December 1st. Then we got the body camera. Then we talked to WSU to find out, oh my God, he wants to work in cloud forensics and blah, 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 blah. That's not how this happened at the motherfucking shit at all. How this happened is nothing happened. Nothing happened from November 13th until December 23rd. And then on December 23rd, we have this so-called working affidavit that was only like 4 pages because you were just getting like, hey, we need to preserve, the towers. We need to do this. We need to do that. We need to do this. No. On December 23rd, then we go ahead and write this all in like a narrative, like we're telling a story. And that is exactly how everybody in America interpreted it. Okay. Everybody in the United States of America interpreted it as that they had Brian Kober due to, just like I would do the same thing. Hey, we have to go to Moscow and the University of Idaho, and we want to do Boise, and we even want to do Boise State, and we're going to do WSU. We need to see who all owned white Elantras because it's supposed to be so clear that it's this white Elantra. And so let's see everybody in the area that owns a white Elantra, right? And so you would think that you would start interviewing people with white Elantras, or at least there'd be so many reports that would be in your discovery, okay? And I think Ann Taylor, and I'll say this, I love Ann Taylor to death, but I think that they get a D on their efforts with obtaining the Franks hearing.
Yeah, I don't think they did a good job in getting what they wanted out of that at all. I mean, at least a lot of it's on the record, which is good, but I think that she's going to have to come up with a supplemental Franks.
Well, and I only say this though, it's a D right now because I don't have Ann Taylor's, everything was redacted. Remember, like they didn't put out the, her motion. Like I can tell you this, Ann Taylor had way more arguments than what he's putting in here, and he's cherry picking like a son of a bitch. But until I see Ann Taylor's motion, like we got to see that 329 pages, right?
Uh-huh.
Okay. And now we got to see in Delphi, dude, they're deleting, it looks like that they're deleting interviews, right? They're not finding out even like till like 3 months later that, oh, something was written over. And I mean, it's really, really bad. It's bad, right? Like we need to have a Franks hearing to see, but here we needed to have a Franks hearing because so many people were involved. And then when you want to, I mean, there's so much in here when you read this. But for Hitler to sit here and say that the fact, I mean, damn, the fact that law enforcement had additional DNA evidence tying defendant to the crime, they didn't have that DNA evidence yet because they didn't get his DNA until after the fact, Hitler. The DNA didn't come until January 5th.
What's the additional DNA evidence that ties him to the scene, though? I don't even understand that wording.
This is his way of saying that if they would have included the IGG, that's just additional. The sheath.
On top of what?
On top of this, on top of that, he's saying that he was identified. He wasn't identified as a suspect because of this. It's insanity.
Okay.
I'm agreeing with you. I'm agreeing with you.
So he's saying that the IGG doesn't matter because they were already on to Brian Kohberger because of the car, because of the WSU. So they were already on to him. So putting the IGG in or the DNA evidence would be, I read it differently than that because it's
hopefully you do because you're smart.
And so the fact that law enforcement had additional DNA evidence tying, it would be like additional evidence of DNA. It's not written correctly then. The fact that law enforcement had additional evidence of DNA tying defendant to the crime scene does not render it improper for law enforcement to rely on independent evidence accomplishing the same. This guy right here is saying the fact that law enforcement had additional DNA evidence, which means there's more than one DNA evidence.
Yeah, but he's also considering things that those are not facts, and we're talking about the damn probable cause affidavit, and it's like, what are you talking about, man?
Right.
Then none of that's in here. So we're talking about, was there probable cause from what was presented? because what was in the probable cause, and so I'm printing out the 18 pages of the probable cause because I did a red line. And I said, you guys, if you go through this and you redline stuff, okay, when they want to talk about that there was still probable cause to do what, Hippler? Like, when you get to the fact of Cy Ray and Tom Slavinsky and what they say, they're like, the car, they're missing 7 minutes. They're wrong when they say that the phone shut off at 2:47. No, it didn't. The phone supposedly stopped working to the network at 2:54, but the car was going out south the other way. And this is where Ashley Jennings comes in and she's like, oh my God, we're acting like cars can't just turn around. And I'm like, oh my God, well, where is that on your cameras that you guys have all this camera evidence about? You know, you'd have them turning around. And then Hippler says, well, I see it the way that Ashley Jennings sees it because that was an hour before the murders. And I'm like, that's where you're wrong, buddy. Yes. Was it an hour before supposedly the state's timeline of going in at 4:07? But the state's timeline also says that that person has to be on that campus by 3:26 p.m. or a.m. So it's not that the car it's not an hour before. Because the car that they're associating with the murder was on campus and in that area at 3:26. So no, he only has 30 some minutes to get from the south side of supposedly Pullman, where you're putting him at 2:54, to then hauling ass in through Pullman across and to be able to get on the Indian Hills camera at 3:26 a.m. And that's where Hippler, in my opinion, when he's writing that, to say, well, I see it this way because that's an hour before the murder. So basically, who cares? It could still be the vehicle that they find, and see on camera an hour before the murders. And I'm like, dude, what are you talking about? This vehicle is seen not an hour before the murders. This vehicle is seen 30 minutes. It has to be on Moscow's campus from WSU within 30 some minutes. Okay. And that would mean it would have to make an immediate turnaround and haul ass to get on that 700 block. Do you know what I'm trying to say at 3:26?
Yep.
Okay. So you're wrong, Hippler. He doesn't have an hour. He has 30 some minutes. And so when he writes that in here, I laugh and I'm like, dude, that's not accurate. He only has 30 some minutes because he has to be seen on your supposed camera that you have at 3:26. And so when you actually go through this and you read, this is just the background bullshit. But the first thing that you get to is so you get through all of DM stuff because it's imperative. And this is the argument that Anne needed to be more firm on. No, Your Honor, the reason the state has DM stuff in here is for the timeline. They need this all to be at a specific time. That's why DM's statements are so important for them. But right here, after you get through page 4 and 5, it says right here that you have this vehicle, that we found this surveillance camera with the neighborhood cameras, and we found the Indian Hills, and it's within page 5 of a supposed working document that they were doing. And if you go back and you look at this, you guys, they knew all of this stuff. Page 1 through 4, day one. Page 5 is asking yourself, when did they find the November 13th at 2:36 a.m.? When did they find that? And I think I helped them out with that when I did my request. And I believe that on Indian Trail, that will look very similar to their undercover car that was right there. Mm-hmm. That's what I found. Okay. So you proved to me, and that's why Ann Taylor was asking, where did you get this from? You were just doing a neighborhood canvas? And it's like, no, you weren't. Me and Bella did a sick ass request, and we got a ton of shit because you guys are you guys are sloppy. And so, but then you go to page 6 And then right here on page, so look at this. I want to know if you weren't on to Brian Koberger at all, check this out, until December 19th, then who preserved all the WSU footage that y'all looked at? If you didn't have his name till December 19th, how did you have all of that footage that would have been well past 30 days? All right. That nobody, they'd have been like, oh, we don't even have those cameras anymore. If you come to me on December 19th saying, hey, we need to start looking at this WSU footage to even find the white Elantras. All right. When did y'all get those footage? And this is all going to come out in a timeline that's going to blow up royally. And that's why I'm giving Anne right now a D, and I'm rating her so hard. And she knows why. And it's because I know that Anne is holding back so much shit because she isn't trying to win no battle. She's winning a war against people that are not being truthful. And Brian Koberger may be the guy, but you ain't going to lie about it. You're not going to violate my motherfucking rights.
Right.
You're not going to violate my rights.
People in chat, nobody, and I said this at the beginning of the live, but I know people have come in later.
Woo!
Nobody's saying whether they think that he's innocent or guilty. We brought it up at the beginning of this that we want to go through the investigation and the pieces of the investigation to make sure or to see if we think that the if there what is shady, what isn't shady, what did they do well, what do we have questions about in the public? Because ultimately, whether he's innocent or guilty, they have to do the investigation the right way to make sure they get the right guy. And if he is the right guy, if the investigation is fucked up, then the guy goes free. So the investigation is still important. Whether the outcome is you think he's the right guy or you think he's not, that's the bottom line is still we want to know were any of his constitutional rights violated?
Which are our constitutional rights?
Are the investigators corrupt or incompetent, in our opinion?
Mm-hmm.
You know, so we're not going to we're not saying all the way at the end like this is already what's happened. He's already guilty. He's already innocent. I can tell you my opinion on that, but what we're talking about factually is what's coming out in documents to determine what the investigators, lawyers, judge think of the evidence as it's being brought to us, the public. That's all we can do at this point. So I want to clarify that for people because I know a lot of people are like, hey, you know, nobody set the guy up. Well, we don't know. That's why we're reading documents to figure out what we think.
No, so, who's to say that, listen, if I commit a murder, I'm not the police. I'm going to set somebody up, though, so that I don't go down. So if I commit a murder, I want to set up somebody else, right? Did you hear what Megyn Kelly and Bloom said? They said that Brian Koberger went in there with vials of blood to frame other people. And I'm just like, wait a second. Wow. Now I've lost it. Like, I did
not hear that one.
Did you? Oh my God. I was like, Megyn Kelly, I love you to death, but holy shit, you and Bloom completely went off the deep end.
I don't know. After going through Bloom's book of stuff, I was just like, I don't know about this dude. I don't know how I feel about him. So, so I just want people to understand like why we're going through things that we're going through. And it's not like, hey, because he's super guilty, we're not going to look at court documents, or because we totally think he's innocent, we're not going to look at court documents. So I just wanted to put that out there.
I know. Did you? So you didn't know that Megyn Kelly and Bloom was like, listen.
I know that.
Yeah, he was like, listen, my hypothesis, and I know it's a far-fetched, but I think Brian went in there with vials of blood, and that's when I was just like, oh, well, okay, thank you for saying that.
Why did you use those vials of blood to set up?
No, he did. He did. No, that's what they're saying that he did. He used. That's why there's blood on the banister and there's blood on gloves. And I about fell out of my chair.
Let's talk about this blood stuff. Okay. So we have just so
you can see. Do you see how on page 5 here? You see how we're on page 5 of the affidavit? Okay. I just want people to see that if you're doing a fluid investigation, okay, page 1 is all the stuff about like, hey, we arrived there. Okay. Page 2 is I followed Officer Smith upstairs. Okay. I entered this bedroom. Okay. It's just all about the crime scene. Then we get into B, BF, and DM. And this is all of page 3 is all DM statements. These are all things that you would have had in the first couple days. You see what I'm saying? And then you get to page 4. DM stated she originally went to sleep in her bedroom on the southeast side, right? So we're still into that. Then DM stated she looked out of her bedroom. All of this, like we're getting all. Oh wait, here we are, page 4. So then, oh, she opened up her door a third time. So when do we get into actually getting into Brian Koberger? And it's like right away is my point. Is it's like, oh, combinations of DM statements to law enforcement and the forensic reviews of their phones, and that's what's saying that this is what time the crime is. And now that's going to be like, that's so important. And so you're heavily relying on what? The combination of DM statements to law enforcement, the review of forensic downloads of records from just their phones. When have you never reviewed the actual people that get murdered? Do you take their phones into account to see when they died? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Okay. So then here, during the process of the crime scene, but we found the latent shoe print. Okay, making it seem, and it was just one print, and it was a half of a print. It wasn't even the right size, and it's not accurate. Did this person just have one leg? Who was the perpetrator? Where's his other foot? You know, so, but where are we to anything that's, as a part of the investigation, an extensive search, commonly referred to as a video canvas. And this is where they say that, okay, hey, we found this vehicle. And I can tell you when I did my request that we would have had that vehicle over there would have been 12:20. And I was just like, holy shit. Holy shit,
That's
they
when you
used
made your request, or that's when you saw
that's when I got it back, because we
Oh, yeah.
put the request in on 12/17 was the one, and they said it would be back in 3 days. So I was just amazed, because I was like, oh my God, this is, and then that's they're trying to say that, and I'm telling you, they're going to have a hard time saying that that's not the undercover hybrid, because it's exactly where it was at that time.
What does it change?
It just changes the fact of like whose vehicle that could have been. So at the same time that they're trying to say that this vehicle that's seen on a camera, that's a white, sedan. Well,
Right.
Oh God, that looks exactly like, at the same time in the same area is the white sedan that's the police's undercover hybrid. You understand?
Yeah.
Okay. Like that's what I would be arguing. And then, so here we get to 5. So we're somehow going to say, okay, here we found this vehicle, because you have to go in order that, hey, we were doing neighborhood canvases. And the first thing that they mention is they don't talk. See, video canvas, page 5. The first thing that they mention is they go to the 700 block of Indian Hills. Why aren't they talking about the 1112 or Linda Lane? Okay. They go here first. And then they talk about, so the way that you would actually word this is, if you're going in chronological order, is I'm sure thinking that you looked at, you don't go Indian Hills, which is so far away. You would start, the neighborhood canvas is all the neighbors. So then we would have the 1112 King and Linda Lane, and we would be looking at that, right? But the 1112 King Road video, guess what, guys? It's distorted so much that they can't, everybody thought that was going to be such a good pick to get this white car. It's not. It's bad. You can't make it out. So much so that the FBI didn't use it as they didn't use that still to identify that it was a 2011, 2016. They used a video still from Ridge Road. And it's like, wait a second. The one that's their neighbor is that clear bulb that's coming out of, you know what I'm talking about? The light bulb. It's a good camera.
Sorry, I muted because I have a helicopter flying over.
Oh no, you're good. You're good. So here they have this white car that they're saying coming around a bunch of times from 329 to a point that it comes in its 4th time. But that's after, it's talked about after this, because they're trying to connect this vehicle to being that white vehicle. You understand? And that's what Ann Taylor was even trying to say. Like, that's a huge jump to say that the vehicle that's over there in the 700 block is the same vehicle that was there, 3 minutes later in the King Road area, like driving around.
Is that not when they have his phone pinging in the area, or no?
No, his phone doesn't ping at all in that area ever once.
Has it ever come out or been confirmed what Steve Gonsalves had said about Brian Koberger's phone connecting to the Wi-Fi or the router?
Yeah, that's not true.
Has it come out one way or the other, proven in court or documents or anything? Like,
yeah, it never connected to anything. His phone is never connected to their router, and it's never pinged off of any. No, none of that's accurate. So if you're reading this though, so you have this vehicle that goes around. Then check this out, Teresa. Right, we're reading this. So then it says it goes for a 4th time, right? 404. Then at 420, we see it leave at a high rate of speed. So this is how we're saying that this is our time of our crime. But if me and you were just watching surveillance camera, if we don't see a guy running out with a knife, I mean, there's cars coming and going all throughout the night from 2 a.m. until noon. How do we say that this is the time frame, right? Well, it's because of what they put Dylan on saying that occurred supposedly in the house from 4 o'clock to 4:30, right? That's how valuable Dylan is, because she makes this timeline for the white car. Okay. Now you take Dylan out of the situation and everything that she has to say, then you're going to say here and say, okay, we have this car that does this. So think about the Delphi murders. Okay. Think about, you don't have any testimony from Betsy Blair or Kelsey or anything, and you just have Hoosier Highway and you have cars that are going like this. How do we pick which one that we're going to say is the killer's car, right? How do we pick that? It's from what the people say. Oh yeah, that's my vehicle, and yeah, that's me, and I was driving this way, or I was driving that, So, but here we're having somebody inside the house during a quadruple stabbing saying that from 4 o'clock until 4:30, 4:20, that 4 people were stabbed. There's no trauma because this guy just walks right past her. She doesn't think anything of it, goes back in her room, locks the door. And according to Ashley Jennings, they were just texting through it. Okay. Which we haven't seen those text messages, but without them saying that took place at that time versus like, hey, how do you know that you woke up at 4? How come it couldn't be that she came home, passed out at 1:30 because she came home from being wherever Dylan was, and she actually woke up at 2 when everybody came home, to everybody running up and down and saying, oh, there's somebody here. And how come that couldn't have happened at 2 o'clock and at 2:15 or at 2:30 or at 3? You know what I mean? Because that's when Kaylee would have been coming up and down the stairs. And so, and then remember, Bethany has this exculpatory evidence we haven't heard about, but then law enforcement officers provided video footage of suspect vehicle 1, which is what we all assumed was all the loops that was coming from 112. Yeah. This is what we thought. If you were to read this, then law enforcement officers provide the video footage to the forensic examiner of the FBI. And so we're thinking the whole time that it's going to be from what y'all just talked about, right? And
right.
But it says law enforcement officers provided video footage of suspect vehicle 1 to forensic examiners, plural, with the FBI. And then through this, the forensic examiner has, tells them about the years. And then this is where it says right here, 2011, 2013. Now look at, this is also, if this is going in chronological order, right? Then, okay, it says, comma, he indicated it could also be a 2011, 2016. And this happened after December 19th, 2022. So after you knew that Brian Kober had a 2015, right? Yes. So as a result, investigators have been reviewing information on persons in possession. So see how they say it? As a result, we've been reviewing information on persons in possession with vehicles from this year to this year. So you're making it seem like you are searching motherfuckers that have that car. And then what do they get into? What do they say that happens next? Okay. They say that what happens next is that investigators were given access to video footage on the Washington State University campus located on Pullman, Washington, which I am asking when. What is the date associated with that? Because you have to go and preserve this. And so if I didn't have Brian Kober's name until December 19th, allegedly, supposedly, right?
Right.
Okay. So if I try to go and get WSU cameras on December 19th or after for November 13th, dude, that's over a month. Like, it's normally not there. So I'm asking, when was this preserved?
It's normally not kept for more than 30 days. Why are they preserving it, or what's their normal protocol on that? That's a great question.
Yeah. So then
chat's telling us that the state put in a bunch of motions. They're on the CCS so far. The state's motion in limine regarding alternative perpetrator evidence. State's motion in limine regarding neuropsychological and psychiatric evidence. State's motion in limine regarding the alibi. State's motion in limine regarding the admissibility of demonstrative exhibits and memorandum in support of. And then just the motion to exceed page limits in their motions.
If you were reading this, Teresa, right? We're reading this. Then all of a sudden, so here they are. Think about this. We have no idea. Okay, so we think a murder happened at 4 a.m., right? Or 4:30?
Correct. Yep.
So, okay, so they say, hey, we just happen to go and look in a review of that video. How many videos would you have to review? A review of that video indicated that approximately at 2:44 a.m. on November 13th, a white sedan, which was consistent with the description of the white Elantra notice suspect 1, was observed on WSU surveillance cameras traveling north on southeast Nevada. Awesome. How are you going to make this vehicle the same one that's going to be at over there, which is a different state, right? At 3:26, right? Just because you see a white sedan here at 2:44. But then they lie here, Teresa, and this is where the Hitler said, no, well, yeah, it doesn't, just because the vehicle was going this way and they messed up 7 minutes, that doesn't even matter. Okay. But look at this. They're already like,
Is Ray's going to be testifying at trial?
100%. He's going to wreck their fucking world only because of if you have surveillance cameras and you're saying that you're seeing a car go this way, let's just say at 2:47 a.m. And now Ashley Jennings is saying that this vehicle between 2:47 a.m. and 2:54 a.m. had to somehow turn around so it's coming back this way to then go out towards Moscow, because right now you have it going the opposite way. But it's not on camera. But it's okay. That vehicle is still it, and somehow it did it. That's what Hitler says. And I'm just like, wow, this is fucking insane. You have the cameras. And so why aren't you showing us that? Well, no, because at first you tried to lie about it. And now the judge is over here making excuses like, well, a car can just turn around whenever it wants. And you're absolutely right. But how would that not be on camera? You like, come on, man.
It needs to fit Brian Koberger. I mean, I understand that. I understand that that's exactly what they're doing. That doesn't mean, here's some of the stuff though is, will that even come up at trial that this camera is him? Are they still going to stick with that at trial in front of a jury?
Oh yeah. Yeah. They have, oh, for sure.
They don't have to.
Well, no, with this. Oh yeah. I mean, this is, what do you mean as far as like,
The fact that they're saying this car at the 4 o'clock hour or the 4:30 hour.
Because on cross-examination they're going to say, okay, so you found a white car in, Moscow that you deemed suspect vehicle 1. How did you? Let's walk it back. So it's over here in Moscow. Now, how many white Elantras belong to the area of King Road alone? Now, how many are in the Moscow area? Okay, so how did you start? You said you guys started looking at people that had this vehicle, right? Yeah, that's what you guys said, right? Well, didn't you give that testimony? Because they're going to be able to impeach them. Well, didn't you give that testimony? Well, yeah. Okay, so you did police reports in this. Like when you're doing something, you document it, right? Okay, so when did you query the University of Idaho? Who did you ask people in the immediate family who had a white sedan that, who were you interviewing?
Right.
You get what I'm like? Okay. Yeah. So like, because you're going to, like, that's how you're going to walk it back to say, okay, you found out that my client had a white sedan. When? Okay. So, and how did you do that? You're going to walk it all back, and you're going to really hone in on, okay, well, when did you find out that my client had this white sedan? After what?
Well, after they get the IGG tip, they are going to go back and find every single thing that matches up with Brian Koberger having a white Elantra that they've been looking for forever.
So, but perfect. So let's talk about that.
This was my point. So they're purposely choosing to ignore 7 minutes of location data that showed him going the opposite direction.
Okay. So this is what I would then say. Well, couldn't my client, why would it matter what type of car he has? If his DNA is there, why does it matter what type of car he has?
Right.
So let's go that route. That's how I would attack it. Is all right. So
I don't want to cut you off, but I'm going to have to pick up a tiny human from school.
No, so you go do that. We
can either do a part 2 for IGG.
Let's do a part 2.
Okay.
Yes.
So yeah, I have about 8 minutes before I have to leave to go get him.
We're approaching 4 hours, and I got to get to some work done. You guys, I just love talking this stuff. I love talking this stuff out because the Innocence Project exists for a reason.
We could do this all day. If I didn't have to go,
hell yeah,
we'd just keep going. And so I was seeing if Sleuthy was here because no, I don't. I guess not. And I messaged her because she has control over my StreamYard, so she can actually come up and control like the screen and everything behind the scenes. Which sometimes if she has time, but I mean she does work, so I mean it's not like she doesn't have a job. So I mean she may not be here right now, or she may be busy. But sometimes she has time to come up and help with that while I go pick up a kid. But I don't think she's still here. So,
well, since you have 8 minutes left, this is all I want you to see is that after it goes from just like here all of a sudden that we're supposed to talk about this white random car that's doing stuff at 2:44 and then again at 5:29. How it goes from, and then boom, literally the next page 9. It's like on November 25th, we put out a bolo internally. Then it's like, we got this back. And this is where it's just like, this is how your probable cause.
Who's getting these tips from WSU? They're just going into a tip line because Payne's saying he doesn't hear about them until.
No, that's the argument here is that if you were to read this on page 9, it's like, okay, here, hey, guess what, T? On November 29th, me and you, we're going to go give law enforcement agencies be on the lookout. All right. On November 29th at approximately 12:28 a.m. Washington State, they're just saying, and then this is what these people went and did. Okay. And so they went and did this, and it's making it seem like to anybody who has a fucking brain is like, yes, that because of our bolo that we provided these motherfuckers with, that they were able to get this back, because that's where it then goes into Brian Koberger. The same day at approximately this time. And then it says right here, it says that then, guess what I did? They told me it's Brian Koberger. So then what do? This license indicates that Koberger is a white male with a height of 6 foot and weighs Additionally, the photograph of Brian Cover shows that he has bushy eyebrows.
Oh, geez, this is that one. This is where that comes in.
Yeah, but and it's page 10 out of. So that's exactly what they're trying to make it seem like, that we got Brian Kohlberger on November 29th, and then we started doing all of this shit, which is not the fucking truth. And that's why a fucking Frank's hearing was needed. Period. There it is. But here's Hitler saying, it doesn't matter when they got to him and how they got to him and what the order was, but just by November or December 23rd, they had all this stuff. It's like, are you insane? They're selling it to the magistrate that they did all of this stuff. Like, then on December 1st, I did this, and then I was doing this, and December 13th, we queried him, and we did this, and now he's at his home, and all this fucking pretty ass bullshit. Lies.
You just destroyed that in red marker.
This is why I love you, man. I don't know if he's innocent or guilty, but this was the sloppiest investigation I've ever seen, and it's because they had to hide it all. And I care about my rights, y'all. That's
I think it's a little sloppy. I'll still take Delphi as being sloppier first.
I don't know. It smells like 120 people in Idaho working on this, and it's crazy.
CH wants me to bring out the toe. Don't make me bring out the toe.
In conclusion, Lena is calling. No, what
bullshit.
I'm calling bullshit.
All right, so we still actually have like 2 documents that we didn't even get to touch on. So we're definitely going to have to. I don't know what your schedule looks like, but we need to do a part 2 to get the rest of the updates on the other 2 docs that we never even touched.
Yeah. Well, I feel so bad. I want to apologize to your moderators, first of all, because because anytime I go on a live stream, everyone's like, "Oh, fuck that bitch, Lana." So I just want to say thank you guys for modding.
Don't even that's not.
You guys always have to work extra when I'm on.
I think most of my mods actually watch your channel pretty religiously. So
we'll see. But I feel bad for them. They're
begging for an Idaho live with you. Like, oh my gosh, I just am so excited that you're finally doing this live. This is what they want. But we definitely we're gonna have to do a part 2. We're gonna have to do a part 2, and like I said, I don't ultimately. I know people say that, but I really don't care what people's opinions are on a case.
Oh, I don't give a fuck.
I just don't.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we all can agree, especially those of us in America, that we all like our constitutional rights, and we don't want it taken away from us. And watching it get taken away from other people is just one step closer to them being taken away from either a loved one or yourself. And so to not pay attention is just to be blind to what's happening in our world, in our law enforcement. And I don't want to be blind. I want to pay attention. So I'm all down with the questions, whether I think the person's innocent or guilty.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. They have to answer. Matter. Like a Franks was supposed to have these people answer to what they did. And that's all. It's accountability.
I feel like just my opinion on the Franks. So just to touch on that, and then I'm going to wrap it up because I got 2 minutes. Okay. My opinion on the Franks is I don't feel like Ann Taylor did what was needed to get the Franks hearing. But I personally, I know there's people who don't like Ann Taylor. I actually think Ann Taylor is a very good attorney. And I've always been awesome. I've been very happy with the fact that that Brian Kohlberger has an attorney that is going to fight for his constitutional rights. Because I mean, that's scary when they just give up. But I do think the information she's brought forward is valid. And I think it will be a very good cross-examination come trial. And that she's going to be able to make all of these points because she's that type of an attorney.
Yep.
So I'm not discounting her by any means. I just don't think she met the criteria for the Franks hearing. So I'm not disagreeing with the judge on that part. I'm not a fan of the judge being so proactive for the prosecution, even though I feel like they got the right guy. I don't want a judge that has any. I just want the judge to be like, okay, here's the law. And he does put a lot of law in there. I mean, shit, that's why we have 150 pages of his orders, which is fucking goal. We can't even get an order. It's just denied without anything.
Well, so you might want to be careful.
He puts, at least he puts some legal reasoning in so that they have grounds to fight it. But like I said, Gold would just say denied without a hearing and never give you any legal reason why she's denying it. So they have some grounds for appeals on making sure that they have part of this on their record, which is the most important piece for any defense attorney to make sure that if they don't win this one, they can hopefully win the next one. And I think Ann Taylor's a good attorney to do it. So I'm not discounting her abilities whatsoever.
Yeah, T. And I think that's what she did. I think she set up herself down the road. She's not trying to win no wars or win no battles. She's in it for the wars.
She's in it for the long haul, which is a good defense attorney. So
thank you for having me,
Anna. Thank you for coming on. Like we don't fail. I mean, we've got to do a part 2 with the other 2 motions or the other 2 orders, and then obviously we're going to have a whole bunch of state or motions that are going to drop today. So we'll see. We'll see what you think of those. Are you going to cover those tonight if they drop?
I'm going to go cover those right now.
Are they even out? I can't get access to them. I just see that they're there.
Oh yeah, my girlfriend's Ann Taylor's. I just get them.
Do it. All right. Make sure everybody. Do you have a live set up already or no?
Yeah. I'm going to go to the one that was set up earlier.
Okay. Well, hold on. I'll just send the chat to you. I'll have them go that direction.
It's the one that's set up for, it should have, when was it? It was at 10 a.m.
Oh, your pregame that you didn't, and we couldn't end up doing.
Yeah. So Bella will be with me.
So I'll reroute everybody over. So the stream, when this one ends, will portal you straight over to her live. You have that set up, right? I assume you do. Yeah, I think I've sent you.
I don't know. I think so. Maybe.
I'm gonna look right now. And then just an FYI, so tomorrow night, well, first Lena and I will get together and schedule a part 2 of this. And then tomorrow night, Sleuthy and I and a few others are going to be doing the read through of the redacted transcript. So make sure that there's already a live setup for that. Make sure you guys put your notifications on for that one, or sub and put your notifications on. Do you not have it set up?
Do I not? I don't know. Again, thank you so much, moderators. Thank you, T, for having me. I'm passionate across the board, and I have no idea if he's innocent, guilty. All I know is that the victims deserve the absolute best as far as representation. And so I hope that Idaho truly can bring it for the victims, because you're representing that, you know what I mean?
I agree with you. So you don't actually have it set up?
Oh, then maybe.
So you have one set up for 4 p.m. today?
There is?
Yeah, AT&T suppression denied.
Oh, you can just send it to that one. That's fine.
Send them to that one? Okay, I'm going to share that in chat, because you need to set up where I can reroute people to you.
Oh, okay. I'll figure it out.
You're not popping up for me to be able to reroute to you. So this is the link to Lana's live that she's going to go use. And then I will see you guys over there as soon as I'm back. I'll come and chat.
Oh, okay. Thank you again so much, T. Hopefully.
We'll set up part 2, and I'll come hang out in your chat for a little bit.
All right. Sounds good, girl. All right. Thank you so much, guys, for joining us. Bye, guys.
And everybody, thank you guys for being here with us. I know that you guys have 1,000 other places that you could spend your time, and you still choose to come and hang out with us. And I appreciate it. So thank you guys for being here. Welcome to all the new subs, the new members. I appreciate you guys. I will see you guys mañana. Have a good one.
Do you dare to follow me down? Head into the unknown. Down the rabbit hole. Where it stops, no one knows. We're going down. falling